Oh, you are so awesome. The gentleman with the dangerous right. Such a proper chap. I love you, mate.
Nice try, fella, but you're still not getting my triple header tickets.
Spoony! Yo, Timmy Witherspoon, my main man. The Spooner, the comeback kid. Hanging with the Spooner. I love you, bro. Don't leave me hanging.
Let me guess. Triple header tickets. Ain't gonna happen.
Spooner, don't dish me, man.
The following is a special presentation of HBO Sports.
On a typical Friday evening in New York City, approximately 43,000 theater goers witnessed the greatest live performances Broadway has to offer. But tonight, the toughest ticket in town is just blocks away, where Madison Square Garden plays host to one of the biggest nights of heavyweight boxing in recent history. For fight fans from all walks of life, this is the place to be.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, can you give us your thoughts on tonight's heavyweight event?
Well, I'm certainly hoping to enjoy one of the biggest sporting events ever in the great mecca of boxing right here in Madison Square Garden. It's great for New York and for fight fans all over.
The greatest mayor in New York history, standing up for the working man. You are so special.
Well, thank you, son. I wish everyone remembered me that way.
Oh, you're kidding me? Empire State Building, the Statue of Liberty, and Ted Koch. You're a New York legend, and I love you, man.
Listen, son, how'd you like to join me at the fight?
Are you ringside?
Of course. And guess who's buying the beer?
No problem. I'm really good at getting that beer. Let's just get to them seats. Are they really ringside? Right up front? Sure. I can't believe it. I'm going to the fight with the mayor.
Tonight, live from Madison Square Garden in New York City, HBO Sports presents a star-studded evening of heavyweight action in a special triple-header edition of World Championship Boxing. First, former champion Tim Witherspoon faces Jorge Luis Gonzalez. And then after that, former title holder Lennox Lewis against Olympic gold medalist Ray Mercer. And then to wrap up the evening, former two-time heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield takes on Bobby Czyz, one-time champion of the cruiserweight and light heavyweight divisions.
All right. Well, Mayor Koch, you got to hand it to you. These are great seats.
I know, people. This didn't come easy.
No, well, I can tell. Listen, I know you got some pull here. You think you can get a little popcorn up here?
I'm going to tell you what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to put together a card.
Yeah.
I think that if we had Tyson and Bo as a match, you know, they both come from Bed-Stuy.
Yeah. Got a feeling those two guys are going to be talking together all night. And with that Madison Avenue-based foray into humor, we bring you back to 7th Avenue for a big night of heavyweight boxing. Very quickly, let's run down the card on this heavyweight triple header once again. And the first of the three fights you'll see, Former two-belt heavyweight champion Tim Witherspoon takes on Jorge Luis Gonzalez. You saw Gonzalez meet his Waterloo a year ago against Riddick Bowe. It's still the only loss in his career. Then in the second of the three bouts, the man who won the Olympic super heavyweight gold medal at Seoul in 1988, Lennox Lewis, faces the man who won the heavyweight gold medal for the United States, Merciless Ray Mercer, one of the toughest tests of Lewis's career so far. And then in the final bout of the evening, two-time heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield, trying to come back yet again from his most recent loss to Riddick Bowe, will be taking on Bobby Czyz, who's moving up from his previous sojourns in the light heavyweight and cruiserweight divisions to try to catch lightning in a bottle against Holyfield here tonight. How high is the quality of the fighters on this card? Well, consider this. When you look at 5 of the 6, you are talking about 281 championship rounds, 33 separate title fights, 3 Olympic medals, the ones we've discussed, plus the bronze medal that Holyfield won, 11 separate professional titles, and as we'll tell you when we get to Gonzalez a little bit later on, he's won some championships of his own. Working with me as always, HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant. Larry, I think we've set up the card, 3 separate fights, 3 former heavyweight titleists on the card. What's the significance of it to the heavyweight division?
Jim, the only thing I can figure out is that from the old song, the Bronx is up, the Battery is down, New York, New York is a wonderful town once again. From Jackie Kennedy's auction to Wall Street to Broadway, from the Knicks and Rangers in the playoffs to the Yankees in first place, New York is undergoing an old-fashioned burst of energy, creativity, and prosperity. And now boxing is part of the action. None of the fights tonight figures to have cosmic significance, but we've got about 1,400 pounds and 200 years of heavyweights and perhaps 17,000 folks with excited expectations.
And indeed, they get a chance to see some excitement as a couple of the bouts are expected to be highly competitive. Maybe, in fact, this first one. Tim Witherspoon at 224 pounds against Jorge Luis Gonzalez at 250. Couple of very big heavyweights, and here's one of the biggest and the greatest to talk about it with us, our expert commentator, George Foreman. George, back in January, Witherspoon came in here to the Garden and produced a surgical performance against a good technician in Al Cole. Now, he's got to come back with another big effort tonight. At age 38, how difficult is that for him?
Not very difficult. Tim Witherspoon is experiencing something called freedom now. Freedom to create, make money, and make a new name for himself. And he can get that second chance. He's going to take advantage of it. And I think that's what we're going to see tonight.
All right, we talked about the quality of the fighters here on the card, George, but these 3 former heavyweight champions are among a group of such men on the planet who number in double figures. And of course, there are 4 or 5 heavyweight champions out there right now. Our Frank DeFord that heavyweight boxing might be well served to understand that in most cases, less is more. Frank?
Jim, once upon a time, everybody knew 4 people. President of the United States, Walter Cronkite, Santa Claus, and the heavyweight champion of the world. Why, it was said that Muhammad Ali was the single most recognizable human being on the face of the earth. But oh my, how things have changed. Today, only a few dyed-in-the-wool boxing fans even know who a heavyweight champion is, and the rest of us have lost interest completely.
There was a time, my friends, when the whole world knew these world champions. And there was only one at a time, maximum, because there is only one world, and hence only one world champion. But now the woods are full of world champions. Now here is the current champ with the most seniority. He is known as the Atlantic City Express. And if you know his real name, you too are a champion of trivia. In fact, he answers to the name of Bruce S-E-L-D-O-N Selden. He is the WBA champion. But there are many champions.
Who are those guys?
Well, actually, you probably do know the latest of the world champions. That is Iron Mike Tyson, the new WBC champ. That is the title that means so much that Riddick Bowe once tossed it into a London rubbish bin. But then the WBA crown means so much that once the Atlantic City Express, Bruce Selden, was forced to defend it on, ta-da, an undercard. And Riddick Bowe is now the New York State World Champion, a world title he won in Nevada. The IBF title is vacant now because Franz Botha, the South African who held it last, was on steroids. And we certainly can't have anything like that in boxing. So the next IBF champion will either be Michael Moorer or Axel Schultz.
You have to move. Come on. Who are those guys?
But class, that's not all. There is also the WBF champion, Adelson Rodriguez, and the ABA champion, Henry Cisneros, and George Foreman, who is considered the linear champion because he is the last guy standing, which means he beat the man, who beat the man, who beat the man, who beat John L. Sullivan, whose claim was that he could beat any son of a bitch in the house.
Who are those guys?
Unfortunately, Big George is now primarily the world champion of commercials.
I guarantee it.
Well, actually, I did tell a little fib about one guy, just to see if you were listening. Let's go to the videotape. But that's not all, class. There is also the WBF champion, Adelson Rodriguez, and the ABA champion, Henry Cisneros.
And in fact, the ABA is the American Bar Association. And though Henry Cisneros sounds like a heavyweight champion, he is actually in the cabinet as the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development.
But be honest, did you know? Did you even care?
The problem is, as Eddie Futch, the knowledgeable old trainer, says, this definitely is not the golden age of heavyweights. Mr. Futch is being polite. This does not even appear to be the polyester age of heavyweights. Now, boxing, as we know, is a brutal sport that traditionally draws from the lower classes. The poor third world countries that produce most boxers nowadays do not, however, produce big people. And in the United States, big athletes go into more respectable sports. Ken Norton was a boxer. Ken Norton Jr. is a linebacker. Hence, we are left with mostly champions du jour, the worst of athletic inflation.
Who are those guys?
This guy is Jorge Luis Gonzalez. He's never held a professional heavyweight world title, but just to continue the theme, he's won 8 separate amateur world championships. And the record for Gonzalez as he comes in, 24 wins. The loss to Riddick Bowe last June in a one-sided bout in Bowe's favor. 23 KOs, and a lot of people thought, George, that Gonzalez was going to give Riddick Bowe a lot of trouble because of his size and his long jab, but he showed a marked inability in that fight to defend himself.
That's right. He has a habit of carrying that left hand just below the waist, sitting duck for Riddick Bowe's overhand right. He threw them all night.
And that overhand right, as you saw, led ultimately to the knockout of Gonzalez. And now here's the man who's facing Jorge Luis Gonzalez here, Tim Witherspoon. Back in the 1980s, he won both the WBA and the WBC World Heavyweight Championships. His record, 44 wins, only 4 losses, 29 KOs. He may be performing better technically now than at any other stage in his career. Witherspoon coming off that big win over Al Cole here in January. Unanimous decision over the cruiserweight champion coming up in weight, which demonstrated that Witherspoon is ready perhaps for bigger things if he can sustain it from fight to fight to fight. Tail of the tape now with 38-year-old Tim Witherspoon against 31-year-old Jorge Luis Gonzalez. You can see that Gonzalez has a 4-inch height advantage, weighs 26 pounds more than Witherspoon, and a 5.5-inch advantage in reach. Larry?
Typical of the flaky Gonzalez, after losing to Bowe, comes in at least 15 pounds heavier than he did in that fight. I don't know, what can you expect from a guy who wears a goatee on the back of his head?
Punch stat numbers, Larry.
Take a look at how active they were in their most recent bigger fights, and you can see Gonzalez had a lot of problem with Bowe being on the defensive most of the time. Gonzalez has a big jab when he uses it, Witherspoon is expert in making a man miss the jab.
And rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Tim Witherspoon, Jorge Luis Gonzalez fight is scheduled for 10 rounds. The standing 8 count is in effect. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. The referee or the doctor can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 10th and final round. Jim.
All right, thank you, Harold. Let's go up to Michael Buffer to pick up the pre-fight introductions.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Madison Square Garden, right here in the middle of the Big Apple, New York City, where tonight, main events, in association with your undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser. This is for you, present a triple rumble in the heavyweight division. This first bout is presented in association with Dennis Rappaport Promotions. All the bouts are sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission Chairman, former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, Floyd Patterson. Commissioners Rose and Melvin Southard. Executive Directors Tony Russo and James Pulcinello. Deputy Commissioner Bob Duffy. Chief Physician at ringside, Dr. Billy Lathan. Ringside physicians, Dr. Rufus Sadler, Dr. Dan Hamner, and Dr. Richard Istrico. The timekeeper for all the bouts is Borzett. The 3 judges scoring this bout for the 10-point must system will be Melvina Lathan, Luis Rivera, and Eva Shane. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, your referee, Joe Santarpia. And ladies and gentlemen, for the first of 3 times tonight, from Madison Square Garden, let's get ready to rumble! 10 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing green trimmed with gold and weighing in at 250 pounds, he brings a professional record of 24 victories, 23 by KO, with only 1 defeat, a native of Cuba, but now living and fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, ladies and gentlemen, Jorge Luis Gonzalez. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out the red corner, wearing white, trimmed with black, weighing in at 224 pounds. An outstanding record of 44 victories against 4 defeats, 29 KOs. He comes to us from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, Terrible Tim Witherspoon.
Okay, guys, let's go. Hold on. Fellas, just 2 guys out here. Come on, everybody else, please. Gentlemen, you both know the rules. I want a good, clean fight. Are there any questions? No. Okay, shake hands now, and God bless you both. Good luck.
Jim, when I came to New York, I thought that Gonzalez had the best chance to pull an upset in these fights tonight, in part because Tim Witherspoon has a history of not being able to deal very well with prosperity. But after watching Gonzalez and seeing what his weight is, I am less convinced that this fight has the best chance for an upset. Let's see.
You know, last year when he fought Bo, he had no trainer of record, Larry. Since then, he's hired a former kickboxing trainer whose name is Nick Blumgren, and with all due respect to Blumgren and his kickboxing background, some people think Jorge Luis might have been better off with no trainer.
He's an example so far in his career of someone who stayed as an amateur for much too long.
Witherspoon is likely to unleash an unorthodox barrage of punches here to get inside and stay inside of Gonzalez's lengthy jab.
Free that hand, free that hand.
Witherspoon with a snapping overhand right. Gonzalez is always smiling in there, George. Maybe he knows something we don't.
He brings something to the heavyweight division that we really need. He has a little color, charisma, and I like it. smile, have some fun, at least act off. Now, Tim Witherspoon is not doing what Riddick Bowe did. Riddick Bowe didn't give this guy any room to breathe or throw his left jab. He stayed on him every moment.
Witherspoon's too far outside right now.
He's too far away. All you can do is give this fella some confidence. And with that long left jab, if he gets some confidence, it can be a hard night for Tim Witherspoon.
Maybe Witherspoon forgot that he promised us he would be inside of that jab all night long. Right now, he's standing out there in Gonzalez's most effective punching range.
Gonzalez is most uncomfortable when his back is on those ropes. Tim Witherspoon hasn't made him touch those ropes yet.
Also hasn't been able to get to the body yet, except with blows that referee Joe Santarpia saw as low, and you saw Santarpia warning Witherspoon to keep him up. If Witherspoon allows Gonzalez to develop a rhythm with that jab, he's going to set himself up for a tough task.
Not only so, Gonzalez had a long career of amateur boxing matches where you stand there and you power, you jab, you throw them back. And Witherspoon is giving him that kind of career participation again.
Gonzalez trying to land uppercuts. Witherspoon landed a right hand. Both guys cut loose a little bit with a half minute to go in round one.
And I would think that would be a disadvantage for Gonzalez. He shouldn't throw away at over 235-pound throwaways energies like that.
A lot of action so far between two good-sized heavyweights. Total of 474 pounds in there. Off of yesterday's weigh-in, maybe they both weigh just a little bit more tonight. That was a much better than expected first round for the Cuban defector, Jorge Luis Gonzalez. And as we go to Gonzalez's corner, we listen via the ears of our translator, Hector Garcia.
Oh, bien, bien, bien. Está conmigo. Ricky, put this on that eye. The bottom of that eye. Hey, loosen his fucking belt. The belt. Loosen a little bit. Perfecto. Lo dañaste ahí.
You hurt him?
You don't want it.
What are they doing in there, George? Loosening his cup?
That's right. Sometimes you put on the same cup that you fought in before, and that thing is tight around your stomach when you come in real heavy.
Round two begins.
I would like to ask Harold Letterman, can they do that?
You know, what are you going to do if the guy's untying the cup and he's loosening it up? I mean, the referee can tell him, hurry it up. But you can force him to come out of the corner.
I see.
You can penalize him, though, if he's laid out of the corner for no appropriate reason.
He was only in the corner a few seconds, after the bell rang. So
yeah, I think there was no real delay is the bottom line. Witherspoon trying to get his jab in here early in the second round. Gonzalez smiling at him once again. Witherspoon told us yesterday he doesn't like it to the body, and I'm going to get to the body. So far, he hasn't been able to do that.
There's already a bit of a welt underneath the right eye of Gonzalez.
Now, Witherspoon hasn't established any kind of strategies. Should have been getting low, trying to find his head, putting his head on the chest of Gonzalez to establish, hey, I'm going to fight you inside. And right now, staying outside, roundhousing to the side.
Now he backs Gonzalez up and fires an overhand right. Gonzalez has been down only against both.
Gonzalez is doing an excellent job of keeping the fight in the middle of the ring, where he has at least 3 feet a division from himself and Witherspoon. If he can keep that distance and stay in the middle of the ring, this all but good things, nothing but good things can happen for him.
What about holding his left hand low and inviting the right hand, just as he did against Bowe?
Well, you can do that with a shorter opponent if you keep at least 2 feet away from him, but as he closes in on you, he's not basketball player like Riddick Bowe.
That time, Witherspoon was able to land with a chopping overhand right, punctuated that exchange. Witherspoon more comfortable here in round 2 than was the case in round 1, and Gonzalez just a little bit tireder, doesn't have as much energy with the jab.
No doubt about it, Gonzalez is carrying the extra weight. It's going to have a great effect on him as the fight grows.
And George, he does keep his hands so low. He was able to get away with it as an amateur against talented but not very big men. I don't know if he can do that against a real professional fighter.
Well, if he keeps his distance. Remember, if a shorter guy is far away, he's got a long ways to get close to you, plus he's got to go up. With Riddick Bowe was equally as tall as he and probably had even a greater height reach advantage.
Now Witherspoon has begun to find the occasional opportunity to go to the body. He landed a left hook to the rib cage just a few seconds ago.
Okay, open up. Settle on and relax and go to that body. Keep your hands up and go to that body until you can open up something. On either side.
They're doing fine. They're doing fine by moving him back. It looks good, baby. You're doing beautiful. Good defense, everything looks great. Okay, keep that jab on.
Make it open. Go to that body when you're in there.
Now, peace. All right, just come.
Jim, Witherspoon broke a small bone below his left pinky, appropriately called the boxer's bone, in his fight with Cole, and he had that hand in a cast until April 1st. I don't see that it's had any effect on him so far.
When you've had as many amateur boxing matches as Gonzalez, you know how to stand out there and box. That's one thing, if nothing else, they teach you in the Olympics. Build up points. Keep the opponent off balance. That's what Gonzalez has been able to do tonight.
Keep in mind that Gonzalez beat both Bowe and Lewis as an amateur. Although despite the fact that he won 8 World Amateur Championships, he was not well liked in Cuba because he defeated the great Teofilo Stevenson in 3 of his 4 fights.
He also beat Felix Savon, the inheritor to Stevenson's mantle as #1 heavyweight in Cuba, and he claims Castro didn't like him for beating Stevenson and Savon.
And liked him less for defecting from the Cuban boxing team in Finland 5 years ago.
And Witherspoon's strategy should be, as soon as his back touched that rope, throw that overhand right then. He has nowhere to go but to bump into that overhand right.
Gonzalez moments ago was absorbing punishment to the body from Witherspoon and redirecting cameramen along the apron at the same time. There's a hard right hand to the body by Gonzalez. He's shown more variety in his attack here already in 2 rounds than he was able to show against Riddick Bowe last summer.
His corner should tell Witherspoon, as soon as his back touched that rope, throw your overhand right. But if it's in the middle of the ring, he got room to back away.
Round 3 of what is evolving into a technical battle between Tim Witherspoon in the white trunks with black trim and Jorge Luis Gonzalez in the green with black.
Seems that Witherspoon's strategy of getting a little closer is starting to develop right now. Getting closer and closer.
Hard left hand inside by Witherspoon as Gonzalez was stepping away. Witherspoon with a little bit of a crab-like defense. Tough to penetrate at times. See how Gonzalez's patience holds up. And Witherspoon once again lands a left inside, and down goes Jorge Luis. Overhand right by Witherspoon. And this is only the 2nd fight of his career in which Gonzalez has tasted canvas.
Come forward. Come forward.
And Gonzalez was hurt by that right hand, and Witherspoon tries to come back with the same punch as the round comes to a close.
Grabbing you on the break. He's hitting you off the break. Keep that jab in his face and moving him back. Don't let him move.
Puede break, ¿ok? Y tú primero, muévete. Muévete, ¿ok, campeón?
How you feel?
Good.
All right, let's see what punch did it. It was that left hand hurt him, and followed by a right high on the head. The bigger they are, the harder they hit, the harder they fall.
Didn't look like all that damaging a shot, but he caught him right on the temple, and that's one of those spots, isn't it, George?
Yeah. This is a big, tall guy like that doing low enough to get overhand right to be able to land. It just doesn't make sense. Someone should consciously keep him away of his height advantage, tell him to stay up high.
If he gets a real boxing trainer, maybe he'll have that advantage, George.
It's too late, Jim. Too late. He believes he's an arrogant guy. You want arrogance in an athlete, but he is so arrogant that he hasn't taken advice from anyone since somebody told him to defect from Cuba.
So the learning curve for Gonzalez is there is no learning curve.
This is the same guy we saw in his first 2 or 3 fights in America.
All he has to do, even right now, to keep his height advantage. He doesn't have to do anything defensive. Keep his height up. Push this guy away, stay in the middle of the ring, and he will not get dropped again.
Let's see how Harold Letterman has scored through the first 3. Harold?
29-27, 2 rounds to 1, Tim Witherspoon. I gave the first round to Jorge Luis Gonzalez based on that jab, but certainly rounds 2 and 3 to Tim Witherspoon. He waited in punt and belted him around.
I've given all 3 rounds to Witherspoon.
And Terrible Tim landed another hard right hand in that exchange, momentarily wobbling Gonzalez, and Gonzalez has become in a defensive fighter.
The thing about throwing a lot of overhand rights, you get tired. The bigger you are, the tighter you get.
So Witherspoon won't be able to keep that particular attack up for long.
He's going to have to sneak in some left hooks also, just to kind of readjust his body. You don't get one side of your body to get tired.
There's a left hook.
There's a left hook.
And another overhand right. He's finding it easier and easier to land as time goes by.
The closer he gets, the easier it is to land those overhand rights.
Tell me, George, can a professional go back to being an amateur and go back into the Olympics again?
Regain some eligibility, huh?
Right. He's proving his amateur credentials here tonight.
We got to remember, he's in the ring with a 2-time heavyweight champion. He's holding his own. The only thing he's doing wrong is the other tactics. He's not sticking to the kind of fight he needs to be fighting.
Witherspoon won 2 separate titles at a time when most people thought he wasn't fulfilling his potential.
Gonzalez just doesn't have a strategy.
No, and though you suggested in the first couple rounds that Witherspoon wasn't clear on his own strategy at that time, now Tim what he's doing in there.
He knows exactly what he's doing and things are going right for him.
Another overhand right, another left hook. Those 2 punches are going to land for a while here unless Gonzalez can take some other tack with his own fight strategy.
It's kind of hard when you're overweight like that to get off those ring ropes and fight.
I want to remind you to join us May 20 for the premiere of Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel, featured in this particular edition, the first one-on-one interview with controversial former Nebraska running back Lawrence Phillips, a look at last year's tragic ring death for boxer Jimmy Garcia, a report on the auto racing war between the Indianapolis 500 and its championship auto racing team's rivals. Real Sports, the only show of its kind, only on HBO.
Trabájalo, ya véalo y trabájalo, irlo para atrás. Él está cansado, él no trabajó tan duro para esta pelea, campeón. Estuvo 10 días sin hacer nada. Así que echa todo lo que tú tienes, mi hermanito. Este es el quinto.
Now you got eye thinking, Tim. Just eye thinking.
Every now and then, throw it straight right here.
Yeah, go to the body and set it up from the body.
Stay on the stool. Stay on the stool. Stay on the stool.
Tim Witherspoon is like an old blues musician who's gradually found his rhythm and his chops as this fight has gone on.
And as Gonzalez has tired in front of him, it's gotten easier and easier. Now Gonzalez goes back to pumping the jab, which is what gave him success in the first round and a half.
Gonzalez has to get his rest in the middle of the ring. Can't go back to the rope and lay there and rest. And it's easy to do that. Just go out there and hold your opponent.
Tim Witherspoon told us yesterday that several days of training because of lower back problems created when his special orthotic shoe inserts wore down and failed to give him the proper support. So now Gonzalez's corner has been telling Jorge Luis, hey, this guy days of training. You ought to be able to wear him out.
Stop fighting! Stop fighting!
I wonder how many days of training Gonzalez missed. He might have been depressed by hearing that.
And the referee, he shouldn't break until the referee tells him, step back and break. That's the way you get your energy level back up.
Gonzalez trying a long uppercut. And Witherspoon just misses with a close-in right uppercut that could have done a lot of damage if he'd had a target. Now here comes the overhand right. Yep.
You can't miss. His back is on the rope. Throw it. It's going to hit something. You can always get some kind of pay dirt.
Almost as though Tim Witherspoon's listening to you in there, George Foreman. When he gets Gonzalez against the ropes, he throws left hook, overhand right.
And Gonzalez got so much potential. He's got so much ability. You just wonder why in the world won't you just stand out there and box?
Another hard overhand right by Witherspoon. He has got that thing mercilessly on target. Left hook lands again, too. I wonder how many overhand rights Gonzalez will want to take. Witherspoon may not have the power of a Riddick bow, but he has this thing dialed in. Corner, and Tim Witherspoon celebrates a devastating fifth-round TKO.
Remember, Jim, when he told us how he loved to chop wood, loved to hear the chopping of the wood, loved to see the wood splinters fly. He was chopping wood there in the corner.
That was old-fashioned stuff, George. And Jorge Luis Gonzalez absorbs the second knockout loss of his career, and you suspect that barring some dramatic change in his life, we're not going to see him at this level of the heavyweight division again.
It's pitiful, too, because it's all because of a lack of proper strategy. This guy has a lot of ability, a lot of strength, took some good punches, stood on his feet.
Well, let's watch the finishing sequence here, George, and you'll see Witherspoon landing a withering series of overhand rights and left hooks.
All the same punches over and over. This guy Gonzalez cannot get in the way of something as redundant as the same punch.
Look at where his left hand is. Got his left hand down below his waist, even in an infighting situation where he ought to be trying to protect himself.
Even up top, if you just put your hands up, you just make him hit your punches, your gloves. Believe me, this guy Gonzalez just needs a trainer.
Well,
same punch over and over.
Probably too late to get it now, and he provided Tim Witherspoon with a relatively easy fight tonight.
Never too late. Never too late.
Witherspoon wins for the 45th time in his career. And now let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 2 minutes, 54 seconds of round number 5. The winner by knockout victory, showing he is still one of the most dangerous heavyweights in the division. He is terrible. Tim Witherspoon.
Once again, a look at Tim Witherspoon's final destruction of Jorge Luis Gonzalez as the clock was ticking in round number 5. Gonzalez unable to defend himself at the end against the constant barrage of left hooks and overhand rights from the inside. And now an overhand view and another look at how defenseless Gonzalez was with his left hand drooping down below his waist. And let's go to Larry Merchant in the ring with the winner, Tim Witherspoon. Larry?
Tim, congratulations. With your overhand right, it looked like he was a setup for you because he holds his hands low. Were you just waiting for those punches to fall in?
Yeah, well, I do well against tall opponents, like I said before. I train real hard. You know, I just thank God, man. I feel good.
There was a time when you couldn't stand prosperity, when you would find a way somehow to screw it up. What's happened and how do you feel about that now?
Yeah, I've been feeling kind of rusty like that now and then, until I'm sure of myself. You know, and I'm gradually trying to get confidence and more confidence that I'm going to do the right thing. I'm not going to mess it up anymore. We got our original Raiders of boxing back, and I can't do no wrong with these guys behind me.
What should be next for you?
Oh, Reddick Bowe. I like Big Daddy, me and him cool. But I think that I deserve a shot at Reddick Bowe. I think he's better than all the heavyweights, including Tyson, all of them. I think that Reddick Bowe is the one to beat, not Mike Tyson.
Thank you very much, Tim. Again, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Jim and George.
Thank you, Larry. A quick look at final punch stat numbers from Witherspoon Gonzalez. Of Witherspoon's 88 landed punches, the overwhelming majority were power punches, the left hook, the overhand right doing the damage. On the other hand, Gonzalez landed 78 punches, and the overwhelming majority of those were jabs, which stood him in good stead in the first couple of rounds, but he weakened considerably from that point forward. George Foreman, Tim Witherspoon's only 38 years old, so I know you think of him as a youngish heavyweight. Where do you rank him now among the contenders off of what you saw here tonight?
Look, he's a guy to be reckoned with. He is an ex-champion, and he looks like to me he can be a future heavyweight champion of the world. He's got everything it takes, conditioning, and he was able to stick with his strategy tonight. Those are all pluses. They even multiply after a while.
All right, so Witherspoon sets the stage for the two former heavyweight titleists who will follow him into the ring here tonight with a strong performance of his own. You heard what George Foreman had to say about it. Larry Merchant, your final comments on Witherspoon Gonzalez?
Chopping wood. Found himself a big old oak tree and just chopped him down.
That's exactly what happened. All right, so the first of our 3 main events has taken place. In a few moments, we'll be ready for the second one, Lennox Lewis against Ray Mercer. But first of all, we've told you many times about the seminal place of this building, Madison Square Garden, in the long history of sports. For more on that and the man who made it all possible, let's go back upstairs to Frank DeFord. Frank?
Thank you, Jim. This was one of the full-page ads that Madison Square Garden took out this week to celebrate itself. It's like old times. In a display of logistical razzmatazz, in less than 48 hours, the Garden had a Rangers playoff game here last night, and the Knicks and Bulls are on tomorrow afternoon and Sunday with Rod Stewart in the wings. The Garden is associated first with boxing, but in fact it has been the sheer variety of sport that has made it Madison Square Garden, the mecca in all the world. This atmosphere was created by one man, George Louis Rickard, who was known as Tex because he may or may not have been born in Texas. He found his way to the gold rush in Alaska and then to Nevada, where Rickard promoted his first boxing match in 1910, stacking up $20 gold pieces in a bank window to attract publicity, which he surely did nationally. But for all the successes that followed, Rickard was never an educated man. "I never seed anything like it," was his favorite expression, although he seldom said much of anything. Rickard ran the famous Jack Dempsey-Jess Willard fight in Toledo, Ohio on July 4th, 1919, and thereupon became undisputably the champion boxing promoter of the world. So on he came to New York to take over the Garden the next year. Rickard made boxing by making boxing respectable. He assured safety for spectators, especially for women. He introduced reserved seating with lots of ushers. New York swells flocked ringside to the Garden, and he could promote anything. It certainly wasn't only boxing where Rickard brought in the breathtaking first $1 million gates. Wrestling was still for real then, and Rickard made six-day bike racing box office. And it was Tex Rickard who made ice hockey a success in the United States by bringing the sport to the Garden. When he introduced his own team, Wags laughed and called them Texas Rangers. You get it? The name stuck. Texas Rangers are playing Pittsburgh's Penguins tomorrow night. Basketball would not come to the Garden until the 30s, but by then the house that Tex built was already established in the way that it remains, a show almost every night. It was even that way in January 1929 when Tex Rickard's appendix burst and he died, and thousands upon thousands of fans passed by his magnificent bier to pay respect to a promoter at the Garden, his Garden. Paul Gallico, then the premier sports writer in New York, watched from up in the balcony. A guy next to Gallico turned to him and said, "They must have had to tie Tex down or he'd be trying to get out of his coffin." Imagine letting a crowd like this into the Garden on the cuff. Well, this is a weekend old Tex would be proud of. You ever seen anything like it? Jen, back to you downstairs.
Well, I've seen a few things like it. Thanks very much, Frank. So in the first of our three bouts, a fifth-round technical knockout for Tim Witherspoon against Jorge Luis Gonzalez. Now let's get ready for Lennox Lewis against merciless Ray Mercer. George Foreman, Riddick Bowe threw away a world championship belt rather than to have to fight Lennox Lewis. Mike Tyson is laboring in court right now via his representatives. Try to avoid having to fight Lennox Lewis. What does all this suggest to us about Lewis?
Tells you that Lennox Lewis has a little more than a left jab and a left hook. He has a powerful right hand. And if you don't have to fight someone like that, it's best to leave him alone.
6'5", 247 pounds, maybe the most dangerous big athlete in the division. And lo and behold, as if all that weren't enough, getting better. Larry, there's an old statement in boxing, you can't teach a leopard new tricks, but trainer Emanuel Stewart, in 3 fights with Lewis, seems to be bringing great improvement to Lewis's game. Is it real or is it an illusion?
Perhaps it's an illusion because, as we all know, you can't turn a soprano into a tenor. And the standard line is you're not going to turn a counterpuncher into a brawler. What happens when the fighter gets some pressure on him? When there's a crunch, will he revert to who he really is deep inside? On the other hand, they've turned ordinary sedans into stock cars that race 200 miles an hour, and Mr. Stewart has had some uncanny success in modifying and transforming some heavyweights. The interesting thing about what he's doing with Lewis, besides trying to teach him a few techniques, is he's trying to reach deep down inside him and find a kid who was a little bit of a street tough when he was raised in Toronto, but has now hidden all that stuff behind his gentlemanly English reserve that we've seen him since he hit the big time. Good news is that Ray Mercer is the kind of fighter who might put pressure, might put the crunch on Lewis at times in this fight, and then we'll see if Lewis is real or an illusion.
We'll see what Stewart rather unbashfully says he can be. Emanuel Stewart claims he can turn Lennox Lewis into, quote, the greatest heavyweight champion of all time. Let's listen to more of what both of them have to say about that.
You're blowing it now, son. You're blowing it. You start doing what we trained to do. Otherwise, don't come back to this fucking corner. Do you hear me?
Communication in the corner between a boxer and his trainer is often the difference between winning and losing in close fights. But finding the right chemistry is no exact science. For Lennox Lewis and Emanuel Stewart, their connection is a work in rapid progress.
It's like when you walk into a place and you meet somebody and you start speaking to that person but it's like you've known this person all your life. That's the chemistry between me and Emanuel Stewart.
I believe that the chemistry between Lennox and I is going to make a big difference, and that's something that is so important.
But how has that chemistry developed? Why have Lennox Lewis and Emanuel Stewart responded to each other?
I felt that he needed a real good, strong person that he could respect, because he's a strong-minded individual himself. And a normal, weak person would not be able to handle the next stuff, because he's very, very strong-minded, very opinionated. That if he respects someone else, it makes a big difference.
You control the whole body. There you go. Now you're taking advantage of it.
The former champion's respect for his new trainer was evident a year ago when first they began working together. Stewart had been at Oliver McCall's. Lewis lost his title to McCall. Didn't wait to begin criticizing his new pupil.
At that stage, you know, he was a very still emotionally not completely stable person. You know, his last fight he had lost. It was the first time he ever lost in his life, too, as a professional fighter. And he lost by knockout. I pinpointed his biggest weakness was his balance and his stiffness. And he said, I agree. And you know, what can we do to change it? So that was one of the first things that really impressed me about his willingness to learn and to change and accept his weak points. I think that was the biggest factor in beginning to work with him.
The improvement Stewart has helped Lewis to make in both balance and stability was most visible in the last of their 3 straight wins together. A 6th-round stoppage of Tommy Morrison last October.
I think in the Tommy Morrison fight, Lennox Lewis came out and showed a lot more confidence and a take-control type mentality in the fight that he had not in the past shown.
You put this talent together with real knowledge, and you've really got something.
Got to bust him up real good with the left hand.
This is the best Lewis we've seen in a while. Much more measured, less wild, better footwork.
Much better footwork. With that commanding performance, Lewis produced not only a victory in the ring, but also some proof that Stewart's instruction was beginning to work. The trainer's exceptional skills were never in doubt, but the fighter's ability and willingness to listen and learn were.
There's no problem between me and Emanuel Stewart now, and I don't think there will be, because we have that communication.
I always discuss things with him. He's an exceptionally intelligent person, and I would say mentally on the same wavelength as far as things in boxing like that. I see something that's wrong or whatever, I usually will stop in his room and he'll say right away, he said, I know what you ought to talk about, because it's been bothering me too.
Especially when Emanuel's not there and I'm working out by myself, I still visualize him training me and some of the things that he would say I needed to be doing. Mentally, I would look at myself from the outside and see what I'm doing wrong.
Together, Lennox Lewis and Emanuel Stewart appear to have embraced a sound formula for success. How the chemistry lasts, and whether it's strong enough to carry them back to a heavyweight title is yet to be determined. And we bring it back live to ringside at Madison Square Garden. Tail of the tape between Lewis and Mercer. Lewis is 30 and Mercer's 35. Got an exceptionally late start in boxing, did the former Army Sergeant. And this is a battle between 2 Olympic gold medalists from Seoul. You see that Lewis is 3 inches taller, 11 pounds heavier, and has a 6-inch reach advantage. Larry?
Jim, Lewis is one of the most spectacular physical specimens we've seen, and he's also a pretty good fighter to go along with it. Here we have an idea of how active they are. Not a whole lot of difference given the different kind of competition they fought. But the jabs will tell us a story, and the real story here is that Mercer threw 34 jabs around in his last fight against Holyfield 1 year ago. Willie tried to out-jab the jabber and surprise him.
Rules of the bout with our secret weapon, Harold Letterman.
The Lennox Lewis-Ray Mercer fight is scheduled for 10 rounds. The standing 8 count is in effect. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. The referee or the doctor can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 10th and final round. Jim.
All right, thank you, Harold. We've talked about Ray Mercer's performance against Evander Holyfield. Even though he lost the bout, it was regarded as a sharp turnaround in his career, particularly because of the way he performed in the first 6 rounds of the fight. this action from round 4 shows you how active and how dominant Mercer was in the early rounds against Holyfield when he was piling up points. But then he tired, lost his focus, was ultimately put on the deck by Holyfield, first man to knock Mercer down, and Mercer didn't win a round among the last 6 in that fight as Holyfield was able to pound down a unanimous decision. There's Mercer's record in his last 6 fights.
For a fighter who never really made any great impact on the heavyweight division, he's had a number of really very interesting milestones along the way. The first guy to stop Tommy Morrison's rise to stardom. Then he loses to Larry Holmes. Then he has that disaster against Jesse Ferguson here in Garden a few years ago when he came in way out of shape and blew an opportunity to make $1 million for the next set-up fight against Riddick Bowe. Somehow he's become a little bit of a force in the division by what he does.
And the record for Ray Mercer, 23 wins, 3 losses, a draw, 16 KOs, regarded as a very tough guy. He's never been knocked out, won his Olympic gold medal in the heavyweight division. He was Riddick Bowe's roommate in Seoul and one class up from him in super heavyweight. Of course, Bowe made it to the final against this guy, Lennox Lewis, who at that time fought for Canada. Now, of course, he calls himself a son of Great Britain. And the Morrison performance was generally regarded as Lewis's best showing since he knocked out Razor Ruddock Halloween night 1982 in London.
Not so much because he won the fight, but because in the fashion that he did it.
Lewis has been winning big victories in court across the river in New Jersey, where judges are saying over and over that Mike Tyson must face Lewis rather than to fight WBA champion Bruce Seldon in his next fight. But Lewis himself acknowledges that part of the challenge here tonight is to keep his mind off of that, off the prospect of a potential Tyson fight, and focus on the business of Ray Mercer. Lennox Lewis's record, 28 wins, the 1 loss to Oliver McCall in a very quick, and some would say political stoppage. Personally, I would say that. 24 KOs for Lewis. And of course, he won that 88 Olympic gold medal in the super heavyweight division, beating Riddick Bowe to do it. Right now, let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the pre-fight intros.
Panics Promotions of Great Britain, in association with your undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Present Rumble number 2 in a triple night of heavyweight rumbles. This bout once again is sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission. The 3 judges scoring this contest will be Melvina Lathan, Luis Rivera, and George Colon. And when the bell rings, the referee will be Arthur Mercanti. All your other officials at ringside shall remain the same. And now, ladies and gentlemen, once again, the second time of 3 tonight from New York City's Madison Square Garden. Let's get ready to rumble! 10 rounds of 2 1988 Olympic gold medal champions. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trimmed with gold and weighing in at 236 pounds. He brings a professional record of 23-3 with 1 draw, 16 KOs. He's the pride of the USA Olympic boxing team in 1988 when he won the heavyweight gold medal. Ladies and gentlemen, representing the USA, former WBO World Heavyweight Champion, Merciless Ray Mercer. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white, trimmed with black and weighing in at 247 pounds. He captured Olympic gold in 1988 when he represented Great Britain in the super heavyweight division. His professional record now stands at 28 victories with only one defeat. 24 of those 28 victories are by KO. Ladies and gentlemen, from East London, England, representing Great Britain, former WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis.
Let's go, champ. Let's go, Ray. Come on, champ.
Good evening, gentlemen. You both received the rules early in the dressing room by the New York State Athletic Commission. I expect you to obey these rules. Let's have a nice, clean fight. Touch gloves. Good luck to the both of you.
Okay, let's go. Lennox Lewis, as you said, Jim, has been winning the battles in the courts to fight Mike Tyson. Now he has to win the battle in the court of public opinion to show that he's worthy of a fight with Tyson.
And you heard the boos mixed in with cheers at Lennox's introduction. A lot of American fight fans just don't like him and don't buy his act. But he can take another step toward public acceptance here because most fight fans know how tough Mercer is, even if he's a little raw. Mercer sticks a jab to start things off and tries to land a right hand that could shake Lewis up early.
Keep it clean now.
Mercer with an early football tactic here, and referee Arthur Mercanti Jr. says, keep it clean. Almost a year since Ray Mercer's had a fight. Against Holyfield last year was on May 20.
Well, Ray Mercer's been in with one of the best jabbers in boxing than Larry Holmes. So Lewis had better think about doing something other than jabbing. You better put some leather out there.
Well, but Holmes picked Mercer apart with the jab. It's not a bad blueprint for going after him.
But Mercer kept him against the rope for a better part of the night. I don't think Lewis has the same kind of body, can withstand the same kind of body punching.
Keep him clean now.
That Holmes can.
Right.
Yeah, Larry had a little extra padding, huh?
But then again, Lewis has a better right hand than Larry.
And in the last bout against Morrison, as we told you, he showed a left hook and an uppercut. Now Mercer is scoring with his jab, and Lewis really hasn't gotten into a rhythm as we're midway through round one.
Let go of the head. Wait, step back.
With a fighter like Mercer, Lewis had better realize, get yourself ahead on points and then start looking for your knockout, because this guy has a short neck. Hard to get in punches around his chin to drop him. That neck is short and thick. Whenever my wife see guys like that.
Mercer, a hard puncher, landed a right hand there, and that got the crowd excited. Lewis comes back with a short left hook inside. Mercer is regarded as having one of the better chins in boxing. Maybe it comes from that short fire hydrant neck of his, George.
Mercer better be advised also in his strategy. Sometimes when you're fighting these guys who are high caliber ex-champions, get in there and steal a bout. Get ahead and win those points. Forget about a knockout. Sure, you're strong, you can take a punch, but forget that. Don't do the expected. Stand up there and take a lot of punishment. Get in there and win points.
One of Mercer's cornermen revealed to us today that he suffered a cut lower lip in training and it hasn't completely healed. When asked about it a couple hours ago, Mercer said, yeah, it's going to bleed. So we're expecting to see a small spigot of lower lip when and if Lewis is able to land a right hand on the button.
Mercer's always stood up and took right hands, but this is one guy, Lewis. You can't just do that.
No, you gotta just settle down. You're a little too relaxed, too excited, okay? Settle down just a little bit. That's all you gotta do. Take your time. You can see what he's doing. Jab a little harder with your jab. You're throwing a little bit more. But just settle down. That's all you gotta do. You're a little tight. That's all. Everything else will fall in place.
Just keep stepping up. Okay. When you get in the punch, you hear a big fucking whack. And that uppercut will work too. He's holding your neck.
Okay.
Breathe deep, right? Relax a little more. Breathe deep, breathe deep, breathe deep. Breathe deep, breathe deep. He's a big deep one, that's it. All right, just don't let him set out. Just keep him going. You're the shit out.
Okay.
Relax now, okay?
Let's go.
Lewis threw a lot of jabs in round one, 47 by punch stat numbers, only landed 1, or only landed 9, I should say. So that's a low connect rate, but it's the activity that matters more. And Mercer, as he showed you there, will walk through a lot of punches.
And I wouldn't advise Mercer to just go walk this guy. Lennox Lewis, a little more power in his right hand because he throws it downward.
Step back.
Like the great pitcher J.R. from the Houston Astros.
James Rodney Richard.
That's him. Or Bob Gibson. These guys will come out there and puts a little more onto the right hand. Because
the overhand right with a downward trajectory when it comes to the chin.
Lennox Lewis was knocked down once, but it wasn't with a sure punch. It was a surprise punch that got him.
Mercer trying to fight the same fight so far here that he fought early against Holyfield. He threw 24 jabs in round one. That's a good output for Ray Mercer.
Keep him up, Lennox! Keep him up!
Looked like a borderline punch. Boy, he's hit Mercer with some really heavy shots, and Mercer just hasn't budged yet.
And I heard Stewart telling Lewis to relax, and he seems a little bit less tight here in round two. And the jab is starting to land rather than simply to go out there.
There we have another big heavyweight, tall Lennox Lewis, bending down. Why go down and bob and weave? Never teach a tall guy to bob and weave.
And there he brought himself down into range for Mercer's right hand.
As you can see, you give the other guy courage.
Crowd rising in excitement now as Mercer pins Lewis against the ropes. Most of the Garden hoping for the big upset here.
Well, we talked about how Lewis would perform under pressure. He's getting some pressure now.
Mercer lands good headshots, but he doesn't effectively go back to the body to make sure that the steam stay out of Lewis's punches. Lennox Lewis has been tall and in his earlier career skinny for a long time, so he's accustomed to guys getting the best of him sometimes, but yet he comes back.
Step back.
Two spirited rounds so far from merciless Ray Mercer. But is he well conditioned enough to do this through the long course of the bout against the bigger man?
Good round. He won that round. But he's not in the shape you're in, okay? He's not in the shape. He won that round, a couple of good shots, and I give him that round, so I got it dead even. But he's not in the shape that you're in. Keep Williams, what you have, you get hit with a jab because you're jabbing, and I told you you're jabbing with your right hand over here, and that's how you're getting caught with jab. Keep your right hand up higher. He's catching you with jab because your right hand is over here while you're jabbing, and you're getting hit. Keep your right hand up a little high and watch. That's what it's catching with jab.
Here they come, Mercer crowding Lewis, landing a good straight, stiff left jab and following with a right hand. Comes back with a left and a right high on the head. Very nice combination from Ray Mercer.
Get him in the corner, you whack him with this, whack him money.
Okay.
Get those elbows down. Give me.
Come on, please.
He's getting tired. Get tired.
Seconds out. Let's go, gentlemen.
Stewart urging Lewis to relax and allow Mercer to wear himself down. Mercer's trainer, Tommy Parks, says whack him. sense already that Mercer's looking for a little rest in the first minute of the third round.
No doubt about it, but he's got to learn to take his rest by moving a little closer to Lennox Lewis. You rest close. When you want to fight, you stand off, but when you want to rest, get up close, because Lewis is ineffective when you're close upon him.
Mercer short with the right hand, comes back to land a jab. Lewis trying to remember to pepper Mercer with the jab. Lewis's scouting report told him that you can control Mercer with the jab if you keep it in his face.
You don't go 12 rounds with Larry Holmes and not find out something about the left jab. What do you do after a guy jabs you?
Mercer lands an uppercut inside and now gets a short overhand right in. His punches don't have as much snap in this round as they did in the first two, but he's still able to land against Lewis.
The major problem with Lewis, he's a puncher. Shouldn't spend too much time trying to teach a puncher to box. Should tell him all the time, you're getting closer and closer with that right hand. Keep putting it in there. Go to the body some. You'll get him. That's when he's more effective. When you can smell a knockout, you cannot revert to boxing.
Now this is interesting, George, because you say Lewis is a puncher, and certainly he has the power to be seen that way. But earlier in his career, before Stewart got hold of him, a lot of people said he was nothing but a timid counterpuncher.
Yeah, but that counterpunch puts you to sleep.
He does have power.
Lewis' strategy should be jab, go to the body, back up to the head, but do not give you Mercer any courage. Mercer's strategy should be to stay close, win points.
Mercer lands the left hand, come with the right behind it. Pace has slowed in the third round to Lewis's advantage, but now Mercer is flurrying down the stretch of the round, trying to steal one. Still to come in a heavyweight triple header from Madison Square Garden. The third of our three bouts finds former light heavyweight and cruiserweight champion Bobby Czyz going against Evander Holyfield. Holyfield, Czyz still to come, and a visit to Commander Vander's locker room.
Thank you, sir.
Future three-time heavyweight champion is what the t-shirt says, and that's something of a holy grail for Evander Holyfield.
You trained for a tough fight, so you're ready for it this time, okay?
You gotta let them checks go, champ. Let that short hook
Take them left hooks, body and head, start banging you.
Whack them, then go to the body. Right? Doing a good job, right?
Second job, gentlemen.
Stewart telling Lennox Lewis that he has trained for a tough fight, so not to worry about the spark that Mercer has shown in the first three rounds. At 246 on the scales, Lewis does appear to be in superb condition. And through the first three rounds, let's take a look at Harold Letterman's scorecard. Harold?
Jim, 29-28, 2 rounds to 1, merciless Ray Mercer. I just think that in rounds 1 and 3, he got inside enough with that hard right hand to pull out the round. That went for the puncher over the boxer in rounds 1 and 3. I went with Lennox Lewis's left jab in round 2.
We have the same score, Harold.
Good combination by Lewis. Mercer momentarily stunned. Lewis trying to leap in with the right hand, and Ray holds on.
It was that uppercut that started that combination and hurt Mercer.
Uppercut through the guard, glancing blow, but what power Lewis showed in slitting Mercer's gloves apart with that uppercut.
Well, it was mostly speed. He did it real quick. Now, Mercer was being real successful by out-jabbing Lewis. He's made him abandon his jab, which is good, but once you make him abandon his jab, then you start jabbing. Mercer isn't doing it now. Lewis has turned into the slugger, so Mercer should be boxing.
Combination, close range believe it. And now Mercer coming on with a straight right hand. Lewis not defending himself very well so far.
And Mercer has gotten back to being smart. He's a bit winded, but I would keep jabbing. Make the bigger man think he can't jab. Then when he starts fighting you, move away a little bit.
And we think the trickle of blood from Ray Mercer's lower lip may have begun. If so, I would have to guess it was one of those uppercuts that started it. Mercer landing a short right hand inside as he holds on to Lewis, and now Lewis is hurt by the right hand. Lennox not holding on. Mercer pounds away. And a great right uppercut by Lewis, and Mercer comes back.
Well, that's what this big crowd has come for.
Spectacular fourth round between Lennox Lewis and Ray Mercer.
Watch those heads.
This is a demonstration of conditioning with Lennox Lewis. He's taken all that Mercer has given, and he's still trying to get in a good punch.
And he got in a great combination just as the bell sounded. But the crowd loves Mercer.
Coming right down your way. I think that was the last good round. You look good. That was your best round now. Best round now. Big breath, champ.
Yep. I got it.
Champ, that was his last. Watch that low blow, John. I got you, mate. I'm not watching him. I was hitting him. You want this over? No, I won't. Not yet. Ray, move your head when you're standing still. Don't put it in. Move it to the side. And keep your hands up. Don't just let your hands down. Take a little swallow.
After watching Lewis in this round, I'm beginning to think maybe you can turn a soprano into a tenor because he is really brawling. We haven't seen that. Mercer turns it back around, and before the end of this round, Lewis had turned it around once again. Some real rare back and forthing with heavy blows in that big fourth round.
Spectacular punch stat numbers from the fourth round. Lewis threw 39 power shots and landed 29 of them, 74%. Mercer, 17 of 25 in power shots, 68%. It was a round of bombs. He gives him a warning.
Come on, Lennox.
I don't think they did any real damage.
Not at all, and then they were pretty much punches thrown at them without looking.
Come on, let's watch.
Mercer not only has an iron chin, he's have an iron as well.
But if this fight continues to go on and on and on, those body punches by Lewis will take their toll pretty soon. Just cannot take those kind of body punches from a big heavyweight and continue to absorb right hands on the chin.
He didn't used to remember to go to the body like that. I think that's another area in which Stewart has had a beneficial effect for Lennox.
Step back.
Overhand right missed by Lewis. He comes back with a leaping left hook. Mercanti just barely gets out of the way. Mercer is again choosing to get a rest through the first half of the fifth round.
Throws one left hook and wait. One left hook and wait. A lot of this is because he's throwing those punches up high where they take a lot of your wind.
But more and more, Lewis seems to be searching for a one-punch knockout, and that's not going to help him against a guy with Mercer's chin.
One of the things you can notice here is that when Mercer jabs, he really commits to the jab, and Lewis still doesn't do that.
Right hand was blocked, despite the excitement of the crowd. Lewis taking a lot of leather here from Ray Mercer.
Mercer got to understand, once you hit these young guys with 2 and 3 jabs, brace yourself, they're going to pay you back. So he's got to keep his hands up. As soon as he hits him with 2 shots, get your hands up, he's coming back.
Blood inside the mouth of Lennox Lewis now.
When you don't, you got him under control. When you don't let him, you're fucking his eye with the jab. Stay on that jab. You're fucking his eye up. Okay. All right? Yep. Give me a towel across his legs. All right, you're the boss. Huh? You're the boss. Breathe deep. I want you to have your hands up. Bang.
Motherfucker ain't got it no more. He ain't got it no more. You just got to pick it up, champ.
All you got to do is pick up this round.
Just dig down.
Put the big grease on, man. Take it off my hand.
Thank you, sir. Champ, when you're inside, you move your head. Move your head inside, all right, baby?
Okay, this is it, baby, okay? If you let him go, it's going to be over with.
Yep. Take deep breaths, champ. Just let your hands go, mouthpiece.
Okay, let him go.
You saw in those punch stat numbers that Mercer is out the supposed jabber. He's landing an astonishingly high percentage of jabs, and many of them are good stiff jabs.
18 of 27 jabs in round 5, and the result of all that is that Lewis's eyes are beginning to swell. So that's why Mercer's corner told him, keep going to the jab, you're messing up his eyes, or something to that effect. Lennox Lewis has been winning battles in court in New Jersey, seeking a fight against Mike Tyson, but none of that will mean anything if he doesn't win this fight tonight.
Ray Mercer is truly a trial horse. You get past this guy, you can get past any trial.
Let go, Frank, come on. Watch
the emphasis, George, is on horse. He is some tough guy.
And he's never been knocked out, so Lewis might be well advised to stick to his tactical advantages. But at some point in every fight, Mercer's pattern is that he loses focus and begins simply to brawl. That happens here. Remember that he's in against a bigger, heavier punching man.
But he has had so much success with the jab that he might be encouraged to stay with it.
He's stuck with the game plan so far. Lewis trying to turn everything around with one big uppercut inside. Lands the left hook.
One thing when you're jabbing, Mercer's being very successful up top, but a few jabs has got to go to the man's chest. Got to hit him in the belly a little bit because your face can swell up and your body can still be strong.
Mercer's kind of forgotten to go to the body here against Lennox.
You got to put in some body punches against a puncher. That's the only way to sap his energy.
Look how easily Mercer pops him in the face with the jab. Mercer landed a hard right hand counter, and Lewis is momentarily stunned again.
Remember, Lewis knows how to fight like this. He's a puncher. He doesn't mind mixing it up when he's hurt. Let's go.
Knock that off!
Once you hit Lewis with hard shots, this way, get on the side of him. Don't stand in front of him because he's got a left hook that will make you fly.
Mercer buying time, getting a rest, tying Lewis up inside. He's had another excellent round here, landing the jab at will and flurrying wildly at moments. Lewis loading up now on uppercuts, and that'll get him in trouble.
It's going to get him in a lot of trouble. Right now, he's got to reestablish himself as the boxer, the better jabber. Reestablish that, then go for the power punches.
Midway through the bout, time for Emmanuel Stewart to go to work and prove what he says about his fighter.
You're behind on points, Junior. Huh? You're behind on points. He's out punching you. That's that simple. When you get a guy get a good volley like that, you've got to come back and win that round back. You see, something, he was exhausted after that, but you never pushed him after that. You got to let yourself go. Okay, let the shots go. If you keep letting them go, regardless of whether you're missing or you're going to knock him out in that time. This man is tired. He's spitting up blood, but you're not.
Here is Ray Mercer, who looked at the beginning of the round like he was starting to get tired, but when he landed when he had a good rally and landed a good combination, it seemed to put some more gas right into his tank. Emmanuel Stewart has told Lennox Lewis that you're going to get into fights where technique doesn't matter. You're just going to have to dig down and dig it out. And he's gotten himself into that kind of a fight right now.
You can see the swelling around Lennox Lewis's right eye. The situation begins to become troublesome for Lewis.
Step back now.
His corner told him he was behind on points.
Harold, after 6 rounds, your scorecard.
Larry, 4 rounds to 2, 58-56, Mercer. I think when that little guy gets inside, he does damage. And I gave him rounds 1, 3, 4, and 6 because he got inside and landed that hard right hand. And in a 10-round fight, Lennox Lewis is running out of rounds.
I have it 3 rounds apiece.
Still not enough head movement for Lewis, who when he steps inside against Mercer, gets peppered with left hands and short right hands. Mercer's been effective with the jab, been effective with the right hand counter.
Step back.
Lewis has landed some uppercuts, some terrific combinations, some left hooks, but has not landed a big right hand over the top yet.
Step back.
Lewis on anything but a knockout. To land a double right hand, 2 left jab, he just does not seem to want to do good things like that. If ever he does, he can turn this fight around. It's equal right now. It's an even match.
Mercer again with a right hand counter inside. Lewis momentarily dropped his gloves and took another shot, but then Lennox came back with a counter of his own.
Mercer got hurt that time, and Lewis was out of position to take advantage of it.
And I still don't think Lennox realizes how hard he hit Mercer.
Break.
He's not used to seeing guys stand up after he hits him flush like that.
Break. Step back now.
Become a test of Lennox Lewis's courage and his tactical will down the stretch.
Step back.
Can he impose his own strengths on Mercer, the way Mercer has done to him so far? Remember, Mercer dominated the first 6 rounds against Holyfield as well, and then gradually ran out of gas. Lewis starting to freshen up a little bit. Goes back to the jab and the straight right hand. Good footwork, good combinations, and Lewis suddenly has Mercer in trouble. Missed with the right hand uppercut inside.
You just got to go like that all the way now. We can't lose no more rounds. You got to push yourself. Get off first. Don't wait till he punches. You get off first. You got these next 3 rounds. You got to win all of them to win a decision, okay? You might start it with your fight too, guy. The guy's tired. Okay? Been here first.
Okay.
Ray, the guy's tired. Ray, fight this guy. Don't let him throw them 3 or 4 punches.
Okay.
You steal him around if he does that.
Okay.
This is the end of the round when Lewis may have won the round with this exchange in the last 15 seconds. Straight right, good body shots, another straight right. Ray Mercer trying to do to Lennox Lewis what Jesse Ferguson did to him, knock him out of a big payday.
Watch Mercer's energy level now as these late rounds progress. Can he do in the latter part of the fight what he did early? His pattern is, it's tough for him. You can see that Harold Letterman gave Lewis the 7th and narrowed the margin on the Letterman card.
Now Lewis's corner gave him for the first time proper advice. They should have gave it to him in the first round. Get out there and win those rounds. And then when the fight goes on and on, you tell him to catch up on point. Nothing wrong with telling the puncher to win the round.
Solid uppercut by Lewis. Mercer's punch output is dropping now. Mercer's left eye swelling up a little bit.
Come on, break.
Tide is turning in Lewis's direction, but does he have a full understanding of that and the tactical will to make it stick?
Mercer starting to use feint. He fakes. He had Lewis jumping and going for fakes. That's something the taller fighter's supposed to be doing.
Low blow by Lewis, or can he let him get away with it?
Because he pretty much brought some of the power back off of it when he realized it was going to be low.
I'm not going to stand for that shit. Let's go. Come on.
Crowd likes Mercer trying to hit on the break, and Arthur McCanty didn't like it. Mercer swinging wildly with the right again.
Mercer got Lewis with a good right hand.
Break. Step back now when I break. Step back.
Both fighters with swollen eyes. Two good cut men working tonight. Al Gavin in Lewis's corner. Percy Richardson with Ray Mercer. Short right hand inside by Lewis. Mercer grabs him and stops the action.
It's found out now, if you keep your right hand and your left hand in front of you, Lewis is ineffective. He doesn't do anything when your hand's up. He waits until you drop one or the other. If you just put them in front of you, he will not do anything.
That's it. Trading uppercuts at close range. Both men landed. Hard right hand by Lewis. Mercer with that chin of granite. Mercer's winging shots from the outside and creating opportunities for Lewis, but Lewis is only sporadically taking advantage.
Yeah, Lewis, like I said, he should be still in rounds now. His corner told him late to win rounds, and he should have been doing this early on.
Let's see who flurries in these last 15 seconds.
Break. Step back.
This looked like Lewis's best round.
Ray, all you gotta do.
Tommy Sands right. Do it.
Jab him.
Okay.
Then the right hand, the big right hand. You had him out, you held him up. Hit him next time. Make him use his legs while he's tired now, okay? Okay. Let your shots go. Don't hesitate so much. Using your legs.
Second jab, gentlemen. Let's go. Second jab. Let's
Ray Mercer had been throwing more than 20 jabs per round. In the 8th round, that output dropped to 13. He landed only 7. So his activity level is going down. 8 rounds in the book. It's scheduled only for 10. Only for 10. You wonder if either fighter has paced himself thinking it's a 12-round bout. It is not.
Larry Merchant said something very important. Lewis is just not accustomed to throwing hard shots like that and a man staying up on his feet like Mercer is doing.
And as a result, he's posed a little bit and admired some work, and he's allowed Mercer to flurry in the first 30 seconds of this round and put him a little bit in the hole here. Ray Mercer with a spirited effort which could gain for him the biggest win of his career.
Now that's the Lennox Lewis right hand he's been waiting on all night.
Break!
Yeah, but Mercer's proven he can take that right hand.
He just ate it up and came back. That's no way to get confidence.
Break! Step back now.
And that's exactly Larry's point, because virtually anybody else in his career, Lewis lands that right hand, and the guy is down.
Ray Mercer starting to move his head a little bit as he stepped closer and closer.
Mercer able to feint Lewis out of position there.
Step back.
There's going to be some drama in the 10th round.
Step back. Let's go.
And you can almost hear the laughter in the Tyson camp if this decision goes against Lennox Lewis.
I wouldn't want to be the judge of this fight because both men have fought great. Lewis has had his advantages. Mercer's taken his advantages. It's been an equal match. Even so far in my mind.
The judges are from New York, New York, and New York. So there's not a British judge here, not a Canadian judge here. They're all New Yorkers.
Right.
Lewis's supporters in the crowd chanting for him, Lennox, Lennox, Lennox. But he's had a low punch output in the 9th round. Lennox just not throwing as much in this round as he had in the few previous to it. And Mercer's having a good round.
Now Lewis, for the first time, all he did was just put his right hand up.
Step back,
That's
step back.
what he could have been doing all night. You don't have to jump back, drop your hand.
We want this round. We're going to take this round.
You have to win this round to win the fight. You got to win it. You can't win it by moving. You got to let the punches go. You can't take them home. Let them go, Lennox. You're holding on to them. Let them fly. Let the shots go. You got to talk to yourself and push yourself. This is the last round. You got to win this round, okay?
How bad you want? Get the inch-lock. Put inch-lock. You first round.
All right.
Last round, champ. How bad you want? Just go to him. That's the last round. Don't give him this fucking round.
Don't give it to him.
You hear? All you got to do is keep fucking punching.
You get close, you go 3 and 4 punches. And then keep turning them. And keep turning them.
You got to let him go. It's all up in there. If you don't win this round, you blow it. I said, let him.
Anybody else?
Last round and we're going.
Okay, no more water now.
He can't beat you.
Seconds out.
Please, 3 minutes.
Seconds out. Let's go.
Come on, baby.
Let's take this one. Let's go. Who wants it?
Arthur McCanty Jr. says, let's go. Who wants it? That's the big question now. Harold Letterman, how you got it after 9?
Jim, 5 rounds to 4, 86-85, Lennox Lewis. I think he won rounds 7, 8, and 9 to pull ahead. But boy, this is anybody's fight. If Ray Mercer starts to punch again, he certainly may be able to pull out this fight. This is darn close.
Larry?
This is one of those occasions when you got to say, cut yourself a new piece of bait, fish a little deeper. See what you got down deep. I have Lewis ahead 6 rounds to 3.
Let's fight.
Gut check time for Lennox Lewis. What's your instinct, George?
I see Lewis. He's ahead in my mind. He's done enough to pull it out with the jab and the tough, big right hands occasionally.
Guys, I wouldn't be surprised to see the decision go for Mercer. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if judges gave Mercer the 9th round. He landed 70% of his jabs in that round.
Step back.
And remember, a draw not be cheating anybody.
Not what, George? I didn't hear you.
A draw. If this bout is scored a draw, no one would be cheated. Believe me, this was one good match.
I think Mike Tyson, even though he doesn't want to fight Lewis next, might feel cheated because off of this showing, I think he thinks that he could handle Lewis, and he doesn't want to see him fall out of contention.
Mercer steps in and eats an uppercut. Best punch of the round so far. Neither fighter with a ton of energy left. Minute and a half to go. Another uppercut lands for Lewis. He's landed the more significant blows in the 10th so far.
Lewis is doing a good job of boxing now.
Last round. Let's go.
Remember that Mercer has scored late knockouts in dramatic situations against Francesca Damiani in the 9th round of a fight on which he was trailing in the scorecards. He was behind Tommy Morrison when he whacked him out of there. But Mercer maybe he's on his way to a decision victory here. He hasn't had a lot of energy in this round. He's been throwing, but Lewis has been landing. Hard right hand for Mercer. Crowd rises in anticipation of the possible upset. Lewis knocked off balance by a left hand. Pretty even round. Mercer the aggressor. Closing seconds of the round. Lewis trying to flurry. And that's going to do it.
A good, hard, tough fight between 2 big men. I thought Lewis pulled it out.
that Mercer would have a showing like that in New York City where he got in all the trouble.
Tremendous for him. Yeah, in the same building in which he was once accused of trying to throw a fight against Jesse Ferguson. Or rather trying to bribe his opponent to throw a fight, a fight he was obviously going to lose. Harold Letterman, who'd you give the 10th round to, and how did you score the fight?
Well, Jim, I gave the 10th round to Merciless Ray Mercer. So I got it 5 rounds to 5, 95-95. I got it a draw. I think that Ray Mercer just did enough to come on. I mean, he came on strong. He put pressure on Lennox. Lennox looked tired. He looked like he was gasping. He looked like he was trying to survive the 10th round. I thought Ray Mercer did enough to win that 10th round and certainly earn a draw. A heck of a fight. Very, very close. Could go either way. Lennox out-jabbed him. Ray Mercer, certainly the aggressor, the harder puncher.
What's your insight about who won the perhaps decisive 10th round, George?
To me, it was a draw. From one round, the conclusion is a draw. It can go to either guy, but I'll give it a draw. If the fight is scored a draw, I would not complain 1 inch.
Well, so in effect, both score it a draw. Merchant, regardless of how he scored the 10th, would have had a close victory for Lewis. And it's nervous time in Lewis's corner now as the judges total up their scorecards. Let's take at final punch stat numbers, and you're going to see the astonishing success of Ray Mercer with the jab. He wound up landing 59% of his punches in the bout, but Lewis threw 150 more punches and landed more. This is the quintessential difficult fight to score. And look at how effective Mercer was with the jab. 134 out of 224. But again, Lewis threw more. Hard to say. Right now, let's go to the ring announcer, Michael Buffer, for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the scorecards here at Madison Square Garden, how about a round of applause for these two heavyweights, two Olympic gold medal champions that came here to fight tonight. We go to the scorecards. Melvina Lathan scores the bout 95-95 even. Luis Rivera scores the bout 96-95. George Colon scores the bout 96-94 for the winner on a split decision, Lennox Lee.
Well, the crowd made its opinion of Lennox Lewis clear before the bout, and their opinion of the decision runs along the same lines. But in reality, George Foreman, both fighters had some good moments, and if ever you would say it's tough for anyone to have to take a loss, this is one of those situations. Before we talk to George, let's quickly go to Larry Merchant with the winner, Lennox Lewis.
Lennox, congratulations. Did you think you had pulled the fight out?
Well, yes, I did. You know, Ray Mercer's tough guys. You hit him and he still comes, but I felt I did enough to win.
You hit him some awfully hard shots. You're not used to seeing guys keep coming after those hard shots. Is that what made this fight so close?
Yes, I'm telling you, Ray Mercer's got a tough chin, boy. When they said he's got a tough chin, because I hit him with some shots and I felt it in my hand, and he kept coming.
Have you ever been in this kind of a brawl? I mean, this had nothing to do with technique after a while. This had something to do with who you are and how you fight.
Definitely. You know, this is a small ring, especially for a heavyweight. You take 2 steps and you hit. So, and then Ray Mercer gave me a lot of pressure. So, you know, I did enough to win.
How, if at all, do you think this would affect your proposed fight with Mike Tyson?
I think it's a positive fight because, like I said, I'm not taking no easy fights. I took the Ray Mercer fight because I realized that, you know, Tyson's a presser fighter, so is Ray Mercer, so I have to go against certain guys to prepare for Mike Tyson.
I think the way this fight turned out, it was a preparation for an eventual fight with Mike Tyson whenever it occurs.
Yes, definitely. Like I said, this is the reason why I took Ray Mercer. You know, he's a guy that comes and gives you enough pressure. And, you know, I had to prepare myself to deal with a guy that gives me enough pressure.
Thank you very much, Lennox. Congratulations.
It's my mother's birthday today, and I'd like to wish her a happy birthday. And all the mothers in the world, happy Mother's Day. Enough respect.
Thank you very much. Let me see if I can find Ray Mercer here. All right, Ray. Obviously, Ray, you thought that you could out-jab the supposed jabber, and it seemed that you did.
Well, I went out there, I did the best I can. I think all my fans out there, they was great. They kept me motivated. Hats off to Leonard Lewis. He took some of the best shots I had to give. You know, he had a strong jab. I had to try to get on the inside. I did a couple of things wrong, and I guess that cost me the fight. I didn't think I lost the fight. It's becoming a routine for me, man. I don't know.
Well, did you think you had actually won the fight? Were you thinking in the corner going into the 10th round that if you survive this, you've won the fight?
I wasn't trying to survive. I was trying to fight all the way through the fight, you know. I know I gave a couple of rounds away, but that's it. No more than 3, you know.
You've been hit by some hard punches. Is he as hard or harder than any puncher you've faced?
Well, every punch that you're going to see from a heavyweight, 240-some pounds, is going to be a hard punch. And, you know, all the punches are hard that I've been getting hit with by different fighters. But, you know, just different styles that make the punches. I was able to stand up against the toughest punch. I can stand up and take anybody's punch. As you see, me and Mike Tyson has a great style, and I'm just waiting to get it on. The people want to see that because we're right there battling the hell with boxing.
Thank you very much, Ray. Jim?
All right, thanks very much. Quickly, what happened on the scorecards here that produced Lennox's split decision victory was that Lewis was given the 10th round by 2 of the 3 judges. Let's call it a majority decision because Lewis won on 2 scorecards and it was even on the 3rd. So Lewis won the 10th round on both of the scorecards on which he won the bout. Well, no. He won the 10th round on the scorecard which was even. It was even on one of the other scorecards, and he won the 10th round on the 3rd scorecard. So out of 3 judges for Lewis in the 10th, that made the difference in granting him the decision. Most fans, I have to assume, George, are sitting at home and saying, wait a minute, if the guy gets hit that easily by a fighter like Ray Mercer, he wouldn't stand a chance against Tyson. Are they right?
No, I wouldn't be so quick to say that. Not only was he was hit good, he was able to endure and continue to push his wheel on Mercer. Now, I'm not trying to say the other guy can't hit a lot harder than Mercer. Of course he can. But this guy can do good in the ring with anyone. I think the crowd was behind Mercer because he took the punishment and he kept coming back.
All in all, you think it was a good learning experience for Lewis?
Oh, it was a great fight for all of us. We all learned something tonight.
All right. That was a battle between 2 Olympic gold medalists from Seoul, Korea in 1988. For more on what the Olympics mean to this fight card tonight, let's go to Frank DeFord.
Thank you, Jim. Evander Holyfield has lived in Atlanta since he was 3, and he's happily looking forward to the Olympics. Like a true Atlantan, he says, I'm with Coca-Cola, so I'll be at every event. And like a true Olympian, his real dream is to be the person chosen to light the Olympic flame. He told us yesterday, if it was just going on popularity, I'd have it already. Unfortunately for Evander, these things are not always chosen on such a simple basis. In Barcelona, for example, they picked a disabled archer to light the flame by shooting an arrow. What works against Holyfield more than anything else is his sport, boxing. The violence of boxing and the fact that it has such little appeal to women makes it the bad seed of Olympic sports. NBC will show not a single minute of primetime boxing from Atlanta. Even though he's the hometown favorite, because he is a boxer, Evander Holyfield would be a long shot to win the honor to light the flame in Atlanta. Jim?
Still, it's a dream for him. And Larry Merchant, Evander Holyfield has been a man with a lot of dreams. They've carried him to heights that even he himself may never have anticipated. But I think most boxing fans want to know one thing. Why is Evander Holyfield, with his reported $80 million in the bank, still fighting? Why is Bobby Czyz with his reported genius-level IQ going in against him as a heavyweight.
Well, I'll answer those questions with a question. Why is everybody so excited to see these two guys fight? Let me take a crack at it. I think it has something to do with a kind of promotional alchemy that turns an event that has 3 fights that don't amount to a big deal and puts them all together, and it does amount to a big deal because New York somehow wanted this heavyweight party, as I said before. New York is saying to these heavyweights, I love you, big men. Evander Holyfield is fighting because, like a lot of ex-champions, he has a hard time getting the gloves off. When you get down to that point where you have to make a decision, you find that the gloves are gripping you. You're not gripping the gloves. And as for Bobby Czyz, he may not want to carry the Olympic torch. All he wants to do is carry a check with a lot of zeros to the bank. And this is his last chance to do so.
And for more on Evander Holyfield's extended heavyweight career, let's turn to the ranking expert on overextended careers in the heavyweight division, our George Foreman. George, most people wonder what Evander is doing with his life at this moment. You know better than anyone how hard it is to leave the big stage for reasons of your own. Without even getting into precisely what his reasons might be, why is it so hard for him to leave the stage?
Another one of those things we should blame Hollywood for. You got to hear stories from rag to riches, Horatio Alger, one more for the Gipper, but there's never been an Academy Award about how do I get out of this mess. Once we get a good Academy Award winning movie like that, De Niro's does something like that, I'll find my way out also.
I see, so everyone will learn how to stop at that point. All right, thanks very much, George. Evander Holyfield, like you, George, is a very spiritual man. Recently, he experienced a challenge to his spirituality, one of the toughest moments of his adult life.
There are 3 words that best describe the life of my mother, Anna Laura Holyfield. They are love, commitment, and unique.
Words appropriate for a woman who brought 9 children into this world, Evander, the youngest of them. But on April 19, the mother of the former heavyweight champion died of head injuries and complications sustained in an automobile accident near Evander's home 10 weeks ago. Annie Holyfield was 68 years old.
No one knows when their times come, but my mother always told us that, I'm not going to be here always with you. You need to learn, you need to listen and learn as much as you can. And realize that, for me, the person that I am is what my mother instilled in me. I did all that I could while my mother lived.
One of only a few material things she wanted in life was her own home, and Evander fulfilled that dream for her just after the Olympics in 1984. Annie had waited 56 years.
I always told my mother when I was a kid that I was going to get her a house. But, life was good, and I bought me a bigger house later on in the distance between me and my mother's house far. And my mother told me I didn't come to see her or nothing. And she said, son, do you love me? I said, yeah. She said, why you don't come to see me that much? I said, well, Mama, I traveled this. She said, I don't think you love me anymore. She said that, and I went around the neighborhood looking for a house, and I bought a house across the street. And I bought my mama's house across the street. I said, I'll buy you this house so when you miss me, you can walk over and see me. I miss you, I can walk and see you. I said, it's both of them. She said, well, okay. And so that's the reason I bought a house across the street. And never did tell me that no more either.
A sharp contrast from the days when Evander, or Chubby as his mom always called him, was raised in an Atlanta housing project. And Annie walked to work at 9:30 each morning, returning home at 10:30 each night, for weekly earnings of $31.
I get up in the morning and do the heavyweight before I went to work. I didn't know what a sick day was. Well, who would give me the strength to do it? God would give me the strength. Giving me the strength. He know that I had to work.
I worked hard, and everybody said, well, you got a lot of heart. But all that came from my mom. The way that I treat people is, I didn't teach myself these good values. I learned these values through my mother, So, when people see how I react to things and how I do things and stuff, these are the things that my mother instilled in me, and these are the things that I'm instilling in my children.
As wisdom is passed down from one generation to the next, her memory is kept alive in the one home that was always hers, the church. Ever since her death, April 19, a black cloth has taken the seat she occupied each week. It's a way to remember and honor her as one who did great work in her church.
We had a lot of love between each other, and how I feel is that, you know, I gave my all, and I was able to give because she gave to me first. You have your ups and downs in life, but you never start, you never finish. My mother, you know, had a hard life, but she made the best of it, and she gave her all. She never did quit. And you know what God said? Well done. You know, now she at home, now she rests.
Life's race well run, life's work well done, life's crown well won, and now she rests.
Mom, when my time comes, and I join you with the Lord Jesus Christ, I hope you still call me Chubby, your son, Evander.
Powerful as this bond was, Holyfield trained on the day of his mother's funeral. Co-trainers Tommy Brooks and Don Turner told us that Evander was quite at peace with his mother's death, believing she had lived a long and satisfying and fulfilling life, and that it did not disrupt his training for this bout. Tail of the tape now for Evander Holyfield against newly arrived heavyweight Bobby Czyz. And for once in his life, Holyfield experiences big physical advantages. A 4-inch height edge and a reach edge of 9 inches against Czyz. Their weights almost identical, 211 and 210. Punch stat numbers, Larry.
Well, you can see for yourself, Czyz is an active fighter. He's going to have to stay in Holyfield's chest. The numbers themselves don't mean a whole lot because Czyz has fought a completely different class of competition than Holyfield. And when I said that Czyz has to be in his chest, you can see why. He doesn't throw many jabs.
Rules of the bout one more time with Harold Letterman.
The Evander Holyfield Bobby Czyz fight is scheduled for 10 rounds. The standing 8 count is in effect. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. The referee or the doctor can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 10th and final round. Jim.
All right, Harold. Well, ironically, it was Evander Holyfield whose status as a real heavyweight was once questioned. Now Bobby Czyz faces all the same questions as he comes in here tonight looking to catch heavyweight gold. In April of 1980, when he became a pro, he was fighting at 161 pounds. It was 4 years later when he finally moved up to super middleweight, 168 pounds. October of 1984, he became a light heavyweight, fighting at 174 pounds. March 1991, 186 pounds as Bobby became a cruiserweight. March 1995, 206 pounds as he began his journey toward heavyweight status.
This will be his first appearance in Madison Square Garden, despite the fact that he was raised across the river in New Jersey, fought many of his fights there. And because this is his first appearance on HBO as well, we must tell in capsule form a story that has captured the hearts of many boxing fans. He was raised by a very abusive father who beat him up a lot, made him do his studies and made him into a fighter. When Bobby Czyz finally indicated to his father that he no longer could stand him and didn't love him, his father committed suicide.
Bobby Czyz has had 3 heavyweight fights and won them all against nameless opposition. Overall, 44 wins, losses, 28 KOs. And George Foreman, he's a professional fighter who knows how to fight regardless of weight class.
He's learned his craft well. He started early in life, knows everything about boxing, what you should do. He had enough amateur and professional experience to do well tonight.
Evander Holyfield, as you saw on the graphic, has 3 of his last 6 fights. Those, of course, are the only 3 losses of his professional career. 2 of them to Riddick, 1 to Michael Moore.
Evander Holyfield fought his first professional fight in the Garden some 11 years ago.
And the overall record for Holyfield as a light heavyweight, as a cruiserweight, as a heavyweight, 31 wins, 3 losses, 22 KOs. It is reported and argued that this man has earned more money in the ring than any fighter in the history of the sport. And let's go up to Michael Buffer now for the pre-fight introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, Main Events Monitor, in association with your undisputed, undefeated King of Beers, Budweiser. This Buds for you present the final bout of the evening here in the heavyweight division. Once again, this bout is sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission. All officials will remain the same at ringside. Your 3 judges scoring the bout on a 10-point must system will be Melvina Lathan, Luis Rivera, and Eva Shane. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, veteran referee Ron Lipton. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the 3rd time out of 3 tonight, from the Mecca of boxing, New York City's Madison Square Garden, let's get ready to rumble! 10 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. Introducing first, out of the red corner, coming in wearing white trimmed with gold and weighing 210 pounds. He brings an outstanding professional record of 44 victories against 6 defeats, 28 KOs. He comes to us tonight from Raritan, New Jersey. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the former light heavyweight champion of the world, the former cruiserweight champion of the world, 2-time world champion Bobby Chappie and his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white, trimmed with purple and weighing 211 pounds. His professional record, also an outstanding one, 31 victories with 3 defeats, 22 KOs to his credit, fighting out of Atlanta, Georgia. In 1984, he captured bronze but deserved gold. He went on to become the undisputed cruiserweight world champion, and he won 2 world heavyweight titles. Ladies and gentlemen, he is boxing's true warrior. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the former undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Real Deal Holyfield.
Chief second.
Gentlemen, you've been given the rules of the New York State Athletic Commission. No matter what happens out here, respect each other, obey my commands, and let's keep it strictly professional. Good luck to you both.
Can't help think, Jim, that Bobby Czyz would do a better job of analyzing this fight than he will of fighting it. I think he needs Evander Holyfield's former health problems to prop up to have any kind of chance at all.
Well, conventional wisdom here is that Holyfield will simply physically steamroll Czyz. You agree, George?
Yeah, there's no such thing as an easy fight. You're a professional, you find that out early in life. This fight is going to be tough.
Czyz, like so many other heavyweights, looking for a spot on the Tyson dance card. He said to us yesterday, I've never had one of those 7-figure paychecks. That's why I'm still around.
Evander's going to find out early on that Czyz may not be the hardest puncher, but he can box. He's got a good gravity, knows how to execute, throw a bunch of punches, keep your balance, and cover up afterwards.
Well, and he's got great technique, gets as much out of his body as anybody in the sport. Certainly knows how to punch, but he's in against a bigger, stronger man in there tonight, and already you can see the difference.
Evander has so seldom met a smaller man than him as a heavyweight that he seems to want to push Czyz around the waist other fighters have tried to push him around.
That's right.
Work your way out.
Like the other fighters have made mistakes trying to push him around, he may be making a mistake. The referee warned him about an elbow, and he has a habit of throwing elbows when he can't find you.
Left hook to the body by Holyfield, who seems a little overexcited early on in the bout. Were you able to push Evander around, George?
Well, it's not a hard thing to push Evander around. He's not a big guy. No matter how strong you are, you need some weight in those legs. Doesn't have all the weight in his legs that he needs to be able to push and shove big guys.
Holyfield, whose punch output against Bo was woefully low last fall, saying to us yesterday that he trained to throw many more punches per round here.
What has happened? Everyone's told Holyfield, hey, you got to knock this guy out, otherwise you're not going to look good. And he shouldn't think like that at all. A W is a W.
Czyz has already taken some heavy shots and has not yet been wobbled.
Good, nice and clean.
It's just so unusual to look at Evander in there against a man who presents so much smaller a picture. You got to get used to it.
Now, early on, I noticed a little gray hair in Evander Holyfield's mustache. You should never let those guys see that gray hair. I shave it quick.
Yeah, but Czyz is older than he is, George.
Yeah, but he's got Miss Clairol going for him.
They trade left hooks inside. Czyz is backing up most of the way here. And he backs up into the ropes again as the first round comes to an end. And Evander Holyfield lands a series of power shots down the stretch of round one. And Czyz takes them reasonably well.
Somebody put that. Just go height here. You gotta have your hands up a little higher. Box good. Relax a little more. You're a little excited, right? Just box a little more. Relax. Relax. All for you now. Just relax a little more. Hold the hands up. He ain't got much more, Bobby. Keep moving your head. Have your hands up, okay? And stick. He ain't got much more. Don't hang in these ropes. Step out of there, okay? Step out of there. Hey, wait. I need some.
That blistering combination of big punches at the end of the round, a left followed with a full-on right, two high punches left and right, a little bit of an uppercut followed by another uppercut. Woo! Woo! George, you've been in there when Evander has landed volleys of punches like that. What's it like?
Well, he's not an really hard puncher when he's coming forward. He catches you off balance with a counter shot, he'll drop you, but he hasn't done any damage just standing there like that. Because his emphasis is speed rather than power.
Bobby Czyz makes it through his first round against the former heavyweight champion. The one-time middleweight, now campaigning in the heavyweight division, because this is where the money is. Holyfield seeming to load shots in the second round. He's got Czyz going. Trying to mug Bobby and get drunk.
Bobby is throwing body punches. He comes back throwing to the body. And every time he weathers the storm, as the fight gets longer and longer, his chances grow bigger and bigger.
The only quick knockout Evander Holyfield has scored in the last 6 years was against Buster Douglas. Every other fight, that was a third-round KO. Every other fight has been 7, 10, 12 rounds. A lot of long wars. Holyfield threw 87 punches in the first round. I don't know, when's the last time Evander had a punch output like 87 rounds?
That's about double his normal output in his most recent fights.
Czyz is able to do what he needs to do in that fight. He just doesn't have a big heavyweight punch. His power was greater, believe me. He could turn the tables on Holyfield tonight.
Well, I just got a piece of the information I was looking for. And the answer is the last time Evander threw that many punches, it was against Dwight Muhammad Qawi in a cruiserweight fight. He has never thrown 87 punches in a round as a heavyweight before in his career.
And that's because he's not worried about the incoming.
Might have broken Czyz's nose with that left-hand shot.
I think there was a little bit of a butt there.
Full step. Box.
Bobby might have thought he got thumbed a little bit, too, the way he was looking at it.
Keep him up, Bob.
Chaz may not have loved his dad, but let me tell you, his dad gave him some toughness. And no one can take that from him. He is tough as nails.
He's a pro. Round 2 coming to a close. A lot of people expect Czyz to be gone by now.
Punch him, step back clean.
Holyfield is very effective. He'll catch you throwing a right hand, he'll beat you with a punch.
Work your way out.
Open your head. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
Now listen. The way we worked in the gym, you got to give me 1 round like that. Get right in your rhythm and go to work on this guy. Stop loading up. What are you loading up for? You don't have to load up, man.
You're right.
You loading up. He gonna be right there. Bing, 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 bam.
Okay. A little water. One more. No.
Take 1 deep one, let it out slow.
There you go. Off the jab. Show him the jab first, babe. Hey, when you throwing?
Take a little off the bottom. Okay. What I need you to do is jab more and box more. You don't have to. I got it. Okay. Take it right there. You don't have to muscle style. You don't have your jab now. Jabbing.
Seconds out.
Go to the body when you can.
Seconds out. Let's go. Let's go.
Hands up. Nice.
Who can blame Evander Holyfield for loading up? How many chances has he had to do that against the big guys he's been fighting?
0. He's loading up because he, like everyone else, believes that he ought to be able to knock Czyz out. Now he's trying to set him jab. Goes in with the left hook. Bobby countering off the ropes.
Remember, he hasn't followed his corner's direction.
Watch your head.
Holyfield believes he's got Czyz going here. Ron Lipton is going to give him a standing 8.
4. All right, 5. 6.
I don't know if that standing 8 is going to help Czyz at all, because all it means is he's going to have to take more punishment.
Well, it gave Bobby a good chance to argue with referee Ron Lipton about the standing 8. And you might have heard Czyz saying there to Lipton, remember what I told you in the dressing room. I have to assume that he probably told Lipton that he would be absorbing some punishment and trying to allow Evander to tire.
Now Evander corner told him, do not load up. That's all he's doing is loading up on every shot.
And when they told him, he was saying, you're right, but he's come back out and done the same thing, hadn't he, George?
And this could really work to Bobby Czyz's advantage.
How, George?
Because Evander has got to recuperate after every big slug like that. In his career, he's had to wait till the other big guys get tired and come on. Now he's the big guy. He may get tired and Bobby Czyz started to come on.
Well, for the moment, you could see a scenario by which Czyz could last a while. What's harder to figure out is how he could win.
Exactly.
Holyfield loading shots again and landing them. Hard right hand right on the button.
And Czyz said after he took that shot, good shot. So he is announcing the fight as he fights it.
Can't resist doing the commentary.
Stop punching, step back. Okay. Stop punching, step back.
And the thing about throwing a lot of heavy shots like that, when you're the bigger guy, you got to look for the oxygen a lot quicker than the smaller guy.
Crowd is kind of listless and wrung out. There was so much enthusiasm in the closing of Lewis Mercer, and they haven't really risen back to that level of enthusiasm in the first few rounds of this one.
How you feel? Fine. Good. Hey, Bobby, your jab is too good. You're not
Don't
using
blow that
it.
nose.
You're not using the jab enough, okay?
You got some on his bells make my face hot. John.
All right,
Yeah, something's burning my eyes.
All right, put some. All right, get some on his eyes. Put some on his eyes.
Relax, Bobby. Got him really good. Check the gloves. Let me work.
Hey,
For the 5 second.
Hey, Rap. Check his glove. If something's burning his eye.
Okay.
Check his glove.
They got a complaint something's burning
Now
his
here's
eyes.
the
Nothing's on
flurry
gloves,
that led up to the standing 8 count. Frankly, I don't think there should have been a standing 8 count. If Holyfield is hurting his man like that and has the advantage in his possible knockout, you've got to give him an opportunity to do it, I think.
What's the matter? Let's go, Van.
Think Evander thought Fan Man was landing in the ring again? Harold?
Jim, 30-26, 3 rounds to nothing, Evander Holyfield. In the scoring, a standing 8 count counts the same as a knockdown. In other words, it would be a 10-8 round in round 3 for Evander Holyfield. But I want to talk about the standing 8 count for a second. It's a tool for the referee to assess how badly a fighter is hurt. It's not really for the fighter's benefit. If Lipton thought that Bobby Czyz was seriously hurt, but he wanted to see before he stopped the fight, he calls a standing 8 count. It's for the referee's benefit primarily.
Yeah, but we're not here for the referee's benefit.
But you see, this is what prevents a fighter from getting hurt, Larry. In other words, he called the standing 8 count so he could see if he should stop the fight. That's why
you gave him a 2-point round.
In this scoring, a standing 8 count is the same as a knockdown. 3 standing 8 counts in a round in this state, the fight's over.
Keep him up.
I agree that it was a 10-8 count, but we will have to agree to disagree about whether it should have been imposed.
George, you see Evander running out of steam a little bit here in round 4?
No doubt about it. He's sitting there throwing a lot of hard shots. The greatest thing for Holyfield is that Bobby Czyz is not a real big heavyweight.
Well, of course, Holyfield wouldn't have come out and done what he's done against a big heavyweight, but he is definitely having a slower round 4 and giving chance to Czyz to get a little confidence here.
Czyz has got everything to gain and nothing to lose just by standing up for the next 2 rounds. Holyfield, to me, he's looking like, I'm scared to say it, an old fighter.
Keep it clean. Come on. Let's go.
You know, fighters age at different ages, George, as you know, and Holyfield has had such hard fights and has trained so hard for so many years that it stands to reason that he would be older at 33 than, say, Tim Witherspoon might be at 38.
Or than George Foreman at 47, maybe? That's what George is thinking.
47? Who's 47? How did that get in there?
George, I'm 47.
Oh, okay.
And that tells me that you're 47, too. Here comes Holyfield again, but this time Bobby Czyz is landing right back with him.
I think Czyz felt that Holyfield was getting a little weaker and he's tried to rally, but he just doesn't have enough power to exploit this weakness in Holyfield at the moment.
As they break, Holyfield casts his gaze over here toward George Foreman and looks a little bit puzzled.
Holyfield should be standing back using his jab. That's all there is to it.
Looking ahead on HBO, we ask you for a special documentary that will take you back to a time when the Olympics were a purer, simpler gathering of the world's amateur athletes. As HBO Sports presents Spirit of the Games, premiering Tuesday, June 4 at 10:15 Eastern and Pacific.
You knock him off balance, you knock him right into something. Okay? Hey, look, step it up, get off this gear, get this guy out of here.
All right, step the pace up, man. Step the pace up. Step the pace up.
Drop your arm, drop your arm.
Come on.
Hey, get this guy out of here, man.
Bobby, I want you to jab more, move him around a little bit. You see, you're challenging him, and that's okay. But you don't have to. Y'all boxing. You're too good to
The
box.
question here of why is Holyfield standing up between rounds? I don't recall seeing that before. Is he too tired to sit down and then get back up? What's going on? And And the fact that
terrific left hand
to get him
uppercut.
out of there suggests that they think he's tired.
Right hand uppercut too, both on the chin. Evander's landing some hard shots now as he tries to respond to Tommy Brooks's request that he go ahead and get him out of there. Czyz isn't going anywhere for the moment.
No, Czyz is fighting back, but it's merely fighting back. There's no way that he can launch the offensive right now. He's basically fighting back.
Break! Full step.
So Evander came out, flurried here in the 5th round, landed a series of hard shots. There's Czyz right in front of him, and now the crowd begins to warm to the occasion, and we get the chant of Bobby, Bobby, Bobby.
Holyfield should use the advantage of the left jab. Stop trying to play the big puncher. That's never paid off for him. He did it with Bert Cooper. He was on the canvas almost.
Yep, he was in trouble.
Box. Made sure he keep boxing.
When he got the early knockout against Buster Douglas, it was an opportunity counter shot. He was boxing Douglas to that point.
That's right. So you got to keep your jab going and box. And Holyfield has never been in a fight that wasn't exciting.
Watch your heads.
And this one is starting to get a little bit more exciting than Evander would like it to be. He backs Czyz up into the ropes again. Evander's been very effective when Bobby Czyz has been pinned against the ropes.
Bobby's fought a great fight, but with the true difference in the weight, this is truly not a heavyweight. You can't expect that much from him.
Well, you heard Larry Merchant asking, why was Evander Holyfield standing between rounds? Let's go to Larry as he tries to get an answer to that question.
All right, Tommy Parks. I'm sorry.
Tommy Brooks.
Donald, would you tell us what's going on with Evander? Why did he stand up between rounds? Is he getting tired?
No, he just wanted to stand up. He said he didn't want to sit down.
You read him. Do you think he is okay now?
Yeah, he's okay.
Why is he having a hard time getting rid of Czyz?
I don't know. Czyz is a very smart fighter. He had him out in the 1st round. He had him. He got out now.
Thank you.
Holyfield could just step back and be a little more accurate. He can get a knockout.
Drop the hands, baby. Drop the hands.
Where'd you cut?
Right there. Right there. Okay.
No, it's all right. You're all right.
Up top. See it
I
up
got
there.
it. I got it. It's all right, okay? Now watch his head.
Good, Holy. Good, Holy.
Listen.
Got it.
Hold it, listen.
Close
What
your
you
eyes.
do when you get the guy on the road.
Paul, stop the fight. He can't see anymore. He got someone to
take a look.
Just stop the fight. He can't see anymore. Come on. I don't want him hurt. Stop the fight.
Bobby, can't you see? Bobby,
So come on. Come on.
Come on, Bobby.
Come on, your back. I said your eyes. Let me do it. Yours. It's your eyes. Do it to me. If I say it's your eyes, that's what it is. So you ain't fighting no more. I ain't coming out. Fucking eyes.
It appears that Bobby Czyz has agreed with his trainer not to go on.
No, shut up.
Come on, I know. We want to see what's wrong with his
Why
eyes.
you at least taking out
We're going to examine those gloves.
We ain't gonna fight.
No, we examine those gloves.
Go examine them.
Come
We're
on.
not fighting.
He has something in his eye. He's saying there's a liniment in his eye.
Burning like crazy. Burning like crazy. Let the man look. Both sides.
Sometimes you got to listen to your chief corner man.
Yeah, Czyz is complaining that he has a burning sensation in his eyes.
And all right, he can't stop.
Shades of Cassius Clay versus Sonny Liston in Miami Beach.
Czyz really wants to go on, but his trainer doesn't want the fight to go forward.
I can't imagine what that could possibly be, whether it's some ointment. Is there some liniment that it could have come down in his eyes?
His trainer wanted the fight to stop.
Yeah,
he looked for any excuse, and he got it.
Czyz said very clearly, George, my eyes are burning. Harold, could it be a liniment that slipped, that trickled down into his eyes?
Larry, the rules of boxing are very clear. You can't use liniment. The only thing you can use on the body of a fighter is a small amount of Vaseline and water. That's it. It is absolutely not allowed. If Evander Holyfield had liniment on his body and he was rubbing it on his gloves and it went in Bobby Czyz's eye, the State Athletic Commission definitely has grounds, to overturn this decision. But I'll tell you the honest to God's truth. I mean, I don't think that he was doing such a thing because he knows enough not to use liniment in all the years he's been fighting. But it's strictly prohibited.
Well, for the moment, you've got a technical knockout for Holyfield, a stoppage after the 5th round. And Tommy Parks, Bobby Czyz's trainer, is surely going to lodge a protest claiming that Czyz was illegally fouled by a substance in Holyfield's gloves which got into Czyz's eyes and caused them to sting, ultimately to close. And you know that Ron Lipton, the referee, at one point went to Holyfield's corner and checked the gloves, checked Holyfield's body. Apparently has not found any substance that he could cite as the culprit so far. And that's going to be the end of what was a spirited effort by Holyfield to knock Czyz out, a spirited effort that was keeping Czyz on his feet and in the bout. And I think Evander had probably won all 5 rounds up to that point, including one of them as a 2-point round. And let's go up to Michael Buffer for the official, and to the crowd, no doubt disappointing particulars on this one.
Referee Ron Lipton, after being informed by Bobby Czyz that he is unable to continue at the end of round 5, calls a halt to the bout. The winner by technical knockout, he is boxing's true warrior, the former undisputed world heavyweight champion, Evander Real Deal Holyfield.
I've got the judges' scorecard here in my hand, and
a round of applause, please.
One judge, Lathan, given Bobby Czyz the 4th round, and another judge, Eva Shane, gave Bobby Czyz the 2nd round. But by and large, Holyfield won every other round, and as you could see, was leading on all 3 judges' cards by a relatively comfortable margin to this point. On all 3 cards, he won the 3rd round 10-8. No, check it. Judge Eva Shane called that a 1-point round, 10-9. Not moved by the standing 8 count, Harold, to make it a 2-point round. And let's go to Larry Merchant in the ring with referee Ron Lipton first.
Ron, would you explain to us what happened at the end of the fight, and what did you do to determine whether in fact some substance got into Bobby Czyz's eyes?
Well, both Bobby Czyz and his very experienced corner, Tommy Parks, have been in boxing a long time, and they claimed that there was a foreign substance in both his eyes, and he could not see. And I know Evander Holyfield's corner experienced, and they're clean fighters. I went over to the corner and I rubbed my hand on his chest and on the gloves, and I rubbed it in my own eye. I couldn't detect any odor, but I didn't stop at that. I rubbed it in both my eyes. You'll see on the film that I checked it because I respect their corner and I respect both fighters. So I checked it out, and I could not find any substance that would reveal that. I also asked the inspector to check it, and there was nothing that we could detect as far as an odor or a burning. But I followed the of the fighter and the corner man, and they weren't stopped.
All right, Bobby, what were you experiencing, and when did it start?
Well, Evander was naturally strong. I expected that. I expected after weather the storm for 4 or 5 rounds, come out and do what I could. Maybe it would make him overwork. But I started in the 3rd round. My eyes started to burn, and I didn't think anything of it. I thought maybe I just got caught 1 or 2 good brazy shots. But then my nose and my lips started to burn, and my eyes are killing me right now. I told Tommy, he said maybe you got something in it, but it got a little worse as the rounds went on. And I don't know what it is. I mean, Evander in my eyes is beyond reproach, but there are other people involved. I just like a lab to test it, and I have no problem with it. He's a great fighter. I know he's a big underdog. I was taking my shot, but I mean, I have to fight him and his skill and his power and having my eyes burn like there's no tomorrow. I feel like somebody got a match on my face.
Could it possibly have simply been salt from sweat getting into your eyes?
I've boxed for 24 years. I know the difference between a little bit of salt in your eye, a little mini sting, and a serious burn. My eyes are burned. I can't stop blinking.
And you never had experienced anything like that before?
Yeah, once before, and somebody did gouge me with something. That's why I know the feeling.
All right, thank you for a brave fight, Bobby.
I tip my hat to Evander. He's a great fighter. That's why I wanted to fight him. I'm one of his biggest fans, and I was doing my best. I didn't come here to take a payday. I came here to win, and unfortunately things didn't work out.
All right, Evander, what is your response to all of this hullabaloo at the end of the fight?
Well, you know, my whole thing is that, you know, I can't say his eyes ain't burning, but I know I don't have anything to burn his eyes. So.
Somebody told me in your corner that all they used on you was Vaseline. Is that what your experience was?
Yes.
And where the Vaseline where? Around your eyes?
The face and my chest.
Well, you've been around boxing for a very long time. Do you have any theory?
I love you, man.
Do you have any theory on what it possibly could be?
Well, you know, I understand that sometimes your corner gets something in your eye too. My whole thing is that my eyes have burned before, called my corner man put grease in my eye, my corner man fixing the cut, and some got my eyes. And things like that could happen.
All right, tell us about the fight. Was he a little tougher than you thought? Because you landed some of your best shots on him.
Well, you know, the thing is that I got overexcited. I found myself trying to knock him out because he was smaller.
Finally seeing a guy opposite you who was smaller instead of bigger.
Well, yes, you know, he would getting on, and I was just too anxious. I was trying to load up and hit him with the big shot, you know, and as I came to the corner, Don and Tommy was telling me, you need to just take your time. You too excited.
Why were you standing before the last 2 rounds? Were you tired? Did you feel any fatigue coming on?
No, my only thing, I felt that what was happening is that I'm used to working harder than when I was in the ring, and sitting down, I was just getting too much rest, and I realized I need to try to keep the upbeat so I can get my rhythm together.
All right, just quickly, Evander, what do you see for your future now?
Well, I'm hoping for a title fight. The long breaks and things like that kind of make you anticipating you out here, and they put you against a guy like Bobby Czyz, and you come out and you want to blast him out early, and he do the little simple things, getting on you, make you miss shot, and his punching power wasn't much, and I stood there, and all I wanted one clear shot instead of just doing what I was told to do and what I trained for, to throw a volume of punches.
All right, thank you very much, Evander. I'm sure we'll see you again. Back to you at ringside.
Final punch stat numbers in 5 rounds of Holyfield Czyz, and you can see that Evander landed 53% of his punches. But hey, what about Czyz? Threw 317, landed 112. He was ridiculed by a lot of people, George, for seeking and getting this shot, and I thought he gave a pretty creditable account of himself in there.
I thought he did a lot better than everybody said he would do. As a matter of fact, his trainer, it was his desire to stop that fight, and he just chose that excuse. But Czyz was getting hit a lot of punches that he shouldn't have been getting hit with, but he did a lot better than I would have thought he would have done.
What do you see in Evander's future off of what he did here tonight?
Well, like I say, it's all up to Hollywood. Let's write scripts for fighters to get this stuff.
And you would like to see Evander Holyfield choose to short-circuit his career?
No, really, I want to see a Hollywood script.
Okay.
How's that?
I'll come up with the script, and you keep thinking about this one.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, George. Larry Merchant, your final comments on the third fight in our heavyweight triple header, Evander Holyfield versus Bobby Czyz.
Well, I thought that this being the 25th anniversary year of Ollie and Fraser in this very building, that it seemed a little bit weird that we would come up with this kind of controversial close to really what was a great celebratory night of everybody coming here, celebrating New York, coming out to watch the big guys pound on each other. I think the fighter who came out best of tonight was Tim Witherspoon. Everybody likes Tim Witherspoon in the boxing community, and they wish him well and hope that he can get a big money fight down the road. I think that Lennox Lewis didn't advance his cause very much. I don't think he was hurt very much. I do think that his fight with Tyson will happen before the end of the year, and apparently Evander Holyfield will go on. But we have to question, after not being able to put more hurt on a Bobby Czyz, what he's going to do with the big guys in the division now. But all told, just a terrific night in Madison Square Garden. The sum of the various parts was greater than any of the individual fights.
Well, I'll certainly agree with you on one point. What Ray Mercer was able to accomplish against Lennox Lewis in losing a close majority decision ought to make it more attractive to Mike Tyson and his supporters to go ahead and take a big money fight against Lewis.
I think that's true, but I think that if he, I mean, what's happening here is business. If he can make a lot of money for not fighting a guy who can hit as hard as Lennox Lewis, why would you want to jeopardize everything by doing that? But if he has to do it, I think he will, and I think that maybe Lennox Lewis will have learned enough out of this fight to make it a better fight.
A contest. All right, well, we'll have a final word on boxing in a moment. First, a look at some upcoming programming on HBO.
Return to a time of true Olympic gold.
I didn't even think about making the money in sport. I can tell you, you did it for the love of sports.
Strip away the years. Rediscover the summer games, unadorned, pure, and simple in never-before-seen home movies with Olympic athletes telling their own stories in their own words.
This is what you've trained 10,000 hours for.
Return to the spirit of the games. Premieres Tuesday, June 4th on HBO.
Two rising stars portraying two sides of the same person, Marilyn Monroe. Ashley Judd and Academy Award winner Mira Sorvino.
And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind. Never knowing who to
HBO Pictures proud to present Norma Jean and Marilyn. Premieres Saturday, May 18th on HBO.
Late on a Saturday night, the action gets hot. You try to make a name for yourself, and there's no holding back. The hot new boxing series, HBO Boxing After Dark. Undefeated Enrique Sanchez versus Ricardo Vargas. World Super Featherweight Champion Azuma Nelson versus Jesse James Leija in their third decisive battle. Live Saturday, June 1st. HBO Boxing After Dark. Some of the best in the business work the night shift.
Heavyweight triple header in Madison Square Garden tonight. First, terrible Tim Witherspoon, 38 years old, continued his quest for another heavyweight title shot with a fifth-round technical knockout of Jorge Luis Gonzalez. Easily done. Witherspoon looked quite collected and in command of his arsenal tonight. Then, in a stirring, close 10-round battle, Ray Mercer came up with one of the better efforts of his entire career and forced Lennox Lewis all the way to the limit. Lewis winning 2 of 3 judges' 10th rounds on the scorecards to close out a razor-thin majority decision over Mercer. It kept Lewis in line for a possible title shot against Mike Tyson. And then finally, Evander Holyfield emerges with a 5th-round TKO over Bobby Czyz when Ron Lipton is forced to stop the fight after the 5th round when Czyz's corner complains that he can't go forward, unable to see because of a foreign agent in his eyes. Coming up immediately following tonight's World Championship Boxing, stay tuned for Dennis Miller Live with guest Christopher Darden on the East Coast and Major League 2 on the West Coast. And join us May 20 for the premiere of this edition of Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. Featured the first one-on-one interview with controversial former Nebraska running back Lawrence Phillips. A look back at last year's tragic ring death of boxer Jimmy Garcia. And a report on the auto racing war between the Indian 500 and its rivals in championship auto racing teams. Real Sports, the only show of its kind, and it's only on HBO. So now for Frank the Ford, George Foreman, Harold Letterman, and Larry Merchant, I'm Jim Lampley saying so long from Madison Square Garden in Executive producer of HBO Sports is Ross Greenberg. Tonight's telecast of World Championship Boxing was produced by Rick Bernstein and directed by Mark Payne. The feature producers were Adam Berg, Brian McDonald, and Kendall Reed. Associate producers Kirby Bradley and David Leipson. Assistants to the producers Lisa Bennett and Thomas Ferdelfelt. And the production manager was John McCallie. And the technical supervisor was Bob Hunter.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports, the network of champions.
15th live only on HBO.